Daily Convo with your host, Big Body, Robotic, and your boy, Wanted TV. This is a weekly podcast with just two dudes being bros. Just a couple bros being guys. If you haven't figured it out by now, just a couple guys being dudes. So let go.
Welcome everyone to the Daily Convo. I'm starting this shit early. We are a podcast that starts
not time yet.
Clearly whenever we want to. What do you mean it's not time yet?
It's not time yet.
All right,
It's not time yet.
Should I just wait on you? Or
yeah.
Okay, are you ready now?
Yeah, you got to wait for the whole stream to finish its thing.
Why don't you fix your transitions? It's trash.
Where
dude.
are we?
We're there.
We are?
No.
Oh.
We're live right now.
Yeah, we're live.
Good Lord. Where are you right now, Jess?
At home, Nibia.
Oh, did you add another painting?
Yeah, probably since the last time.
I barely noticed it, Pastor Beauty. Welcome, everyone, again to the podcast. Today we have an interesting show. We're going to talk about something only old people love to talk about, the housing market.
We are old.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
But young at... No, I'm not even young at heart. Honestly, I'm curmudgeon at heart, really. Two questions. Let's start with one. One, what that thing smell like?
Strong.
Good.
Like a kid's been playing outside all day.
I like
and
that.
It just comes running back in like a hot iron.
Mm-hmm.
And regret.
Is really throwing me off.
Mine or his?
No, yours.
Because it's so white.
Yes,
white.
Exactly.
And I'm realizing now that that's not a filter. That is your wall.
That is, yeah. That's my wall. Plus, I have lights on my desk.
What up, Pops?
They're on. That's
Jamie?
really brightening it up.
Second question. This is for both of you.
Okay.
What is an interesting fact about yourself that you would never put on a dating site?
On a dating site?
Yes.
Haven't used one of those in a long time.
Okay, great.
You know.
Really, the
Humble
dating
brag.
site part is really just semantical here. What is an interesting fact about yourself that you just wouldn't tell anybody?
Yeah. Juan.
I don't think I put in my dating apps that I used to sing in choirs most of my childhood.
This one's probably more like an embarrassing, interesting fact. Like here's mine.
I've never done anything embarrassing a day in my life. So
that's not true. Your existence is pretty embarrassing. Sorry, Pops. Like here's one. Old men love talking to me. Wouldn't put that on a dating website.
I don't see that as that's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that old people want to talk to you.
Yeah, it's weird that I wouldn't put that as a thing that somebody would start dating me for.
I would say that some people really want to try. So that could actually be a positive.
Okay, but I'm saying that I would. She snores. That's not really interesting.
I think you're into it. Yeah, let's.
I do like to wear tutus around the house though, so that could be
okay.
Thing. I literally have a room full of tutus that I never show any of you guys.
And you look good in it too.
I'm really you. I think.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I'm surprised we don't have to wait 4 hours into this podcast. So we have 8 viewers already. This is crazy.
Wow.
We're breaking records.
We're breaking records here.
You want to give a full intro to everybody?
Why do we have to do that? Like they know who we.
No, we don't.
All right. I'm your host, Nabil. You're
interrupting
my intro. You're interrupting my intro.
Unbelievable.
Please don't do. I'm your host, Nabil Rabadi.
Amateur.
With me today is the always beautiful Jess Lerner. And then the scrubbiest of scrubs, the bottom of your dishes, the shit that won't come out. Juan Thomas. Tell him something stupid. Something.
What up, world? It's your boy.
What? Who says that? Nobody says it's your boy anymore. It's not 2003.
That's
People
a bite
say
my
that.
lip.
Who are you flexing on? Who are you flexing
What up?
on? What are you, you're not genuine.
What up,
What is
world?
this?
It's your boy. I know y'all been looking for me.
This is
Right
who you
here.
support, Jess? This is who you support? This is your boy?
I
This is
mean,
your boy?
yeah, if
This
he's
is your boy?
into it,
Look at him.
that's the way friendship works, you know.
What?
To do this, I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Why are you fine with this?
She supports me, man.
Support you.
You wouldn't know nothing about that. Nobody ever supported you a day in your life.
You're right.
Wow.
Thank your sponsors already, man. Thank your sponsors.
I don't appreciate you just
Hey,
telling me
go
what
on,
to
thank
do,
him. Go on,
but
thank
I
him.
will
Thank
because.
him. Go on.
Okay,
Do
listen,
it.
guys. There's a time for y'all to stop drinking like an average individual as a boring human. Spice your life up. Make your cups custom. Put
Mhm.
something about yourself on the cup that you drink. You drink out of a cup every day. Why wouldn't you customize it? Probably because you don't know where to go. And I can tell you where to go. Carl's Customs Creation. That's customs with a K. He is my pops for the uninitiated. Carl's Custom Creation can literally put almost any kind of design and any paint, color, scheme that you might want on a cup. He can do it for you. You got a wedding coming up. You want to get your bachelorettes a nice little bachelorette gift, or your bachelor's a gift, whatever it might be. Doesn't matter. He can do it. He can do little cups, big cups, shot glasses, you name it. Carl's Custom Creation. That's customs with a K. Hit him up on Facebook, Instagram. He is my Paran for the uninitiated. That means Pops. Hit him up. If you tell him that you heard about us from the Daily Convo, you get a little 10% off, a little tenner, a little 10 piece. And yeah, man, I love him. That's my dad. He's kind of a cool guy.
I didn't like any of that, dude.
Yeah, that's fine.
I want you to redo it, honestly.
Okay, you want to start from the top?
A little bit, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. You want to start with the intro?
Hey, I'm Bill Rabati. This is just on this one time. Let's go.
Hey guys. Hey friends.
The energy level is just totally changed.
To reiterate, we have a pretty exciting show today. As every show is exciting. Come on, guys.
Mhm.
We're talking about the housing market. Our guest is pretty late. He's not going to show up till 8 p.m. Central Time.
He's a busy guy.
He's
Busy
not.
man.
He's a
not.
Very busy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If I know anything about him, which I don't, I
Yeah,
know he's not busy.
I know him, and he's busy. So
Yeah, I believe that.
What is he doing?
being busy.
Yeah, he's a busy guy.
With
Not like
what?
you.
Life.
A life.
I'm super busy all the time.
That thing you don't know anything about, having a life.
I'm the most busy person. I was, yeah.
In
Time
case y'all are
magazine.
wondering, this is coffee and it is spiked. So we're gonna have a great
Are you
day.
Coffee
sleepy?
and ice that would fuck me
Are
up.
you sleeping?
I'm so tired. Yeah, I'm extraordinarily tired. It's
so
like some allergy
tired.
thing going on.
I
It's
can't
like
help
messing
it.
with me.
Look at me.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna mute the people.
on.
I have this ability to do this.
That.
So yeah, he's muted. So
I can unmute myself.
we can do this. I can do this all day.
I'll do it. Let's go.
Captain America. Captain America.
I'm America's ass. It's not the good.
You are an American ass.
First off, let's. Juan had a great.
Chris will
week
be on
last
in
week.
10 minutes. By the way,
I don't care, man.
messaged
He's booted. He's booted. So Juan had a great week last week, but a terrible weekend. You want to tell us about your trip?
Oh,
how
the
the
terribleness
Saints,
happened early in the week.
how the Saints,
Absolutely awful.
how the Saints suck ass. Go on.
Saints are terrible. Football's like a
Amazing
like
for
fuck
me.
football.
What is
Um,
football even?
Football's trash. I
license to
am
get
renouncing
CTE.
my love of football. I'm going to become a ping pong fanatic, but not the one that plays it, just to watch it. Yeah, no, I just got back literally Sunday night from Mexico City. It was absolutely amazing for the uninitiated. It was a blast. Currently in this glass, so not only do I have the spiked coffee, but then I decided to pour myself a tequila and mango.
I want to be that person. Why don't you drink some water? That'll help you.
Don't drink water. It's disgusting.
Oh, you mean that? Got you. Say less.
Shit.
Gross. Water
He
is
has every liquid to drink. No,
You name it, I got it, bro. I got like 8 other bevies over here, bro.
let me get a cherry Coke vanilla choke.
have 4 loaves. Yeah, one of those.
One sec.
Yeah.
No, I was in Mexico City, man. It was great. The craziest experience of my life. Not just the wonderful culture that's there, and then the food was literally the best shit imaginable. Got woken up by an earthquake. That's cool. That's the whole thing. Apparently there was a bomb that went off in the town. That was kind of tight.
Wow.
Outside of that, man, it was good. Met some cool people while we were there. One of them might be watching today.
Are they in love with me?
No. Why does everybody love you? Nobody loves you. Nobody even likes you. What are you on about?
I'm adorable.
Love and like is very different. I like you.
Tee. Look how cute I am. Tee.
All right. Decent.
Makes me want to vomit.
Jess, how was your weekend?
Yeah, it was good. It was. I didn't do a whole lot.
Yeah, it was good.
It was decent. Played some pickleball. You know what? Honestly, I don't know if this is like just a just getting older thing. I have difficulty remembering my weekends. Like it is just like not something when someone's like, "What'd you do this weekend?" I'm like, it takes me like at least.
Same.
You ever do that game where you like ask yourself, "Hey, what did I have for breakfast yesterday? Okay, what did I have for breakfast the day before?"
That's easy for me. Like
Really?
food
Oh, wow.
oriented stuff, I got it down.
Okay.
But remembering what I did when someone asks me, it's just like I can't remember it. So I'll usually go with something that I always do, like pickleball. I play pickleball like every other day. So I had to have played pickleball this past weekend.
Naturally.
That's what I did.
Jamie, did you feel that earthquake in Playa del Carmen? She was in.
Yeah, I don't know if she was close enough to it.
Is this only a cool people's earthquake?
Pretty much. Yeah. You had to be hip for it. It's not for everybody. It's not for the initiated.
Checks out. Nabil, what'd you do this weekend?
Nothing. It was wonderful.
Oh,
I just.
Austin reminded me. I did a comedy show. I went to a comedy.
Oh, okay.
You did a comedy show? Word? Run through your bits.
Like,
go ahead.
Funniest fucking person.
I want your opening joke and your closing.
I've never
right
once
now.
laughed at anything you've ever said.
I really can't even imagine being a comedian. I don't even know what I would say. Probably I'm the joke. I'm up here, laugh at me. You know what I mean? Like, look at my life.
That's usually that's kind of what I do already. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a great opener. But
I mean, it's not
hilarious to me.
Let's just go to your closer now. Right, what was your closer?
How do you close this out? How do you close it out?
Enough. The woman that we saw. So we went to some place downtown. Austin knows the name.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting that her opening acts. I hope she never sees this, which she definitely will not. Were better than her. So she was like I don't exactly know who she is, but she like worked on a couple shows, like was a producer, writer, whatever. And her opening acts were much funnier, more funny. She was kind of a Debbie Downer and like really talked about like her life as I would, but really talked about like having this like very serious disease and like tried to make it funny, but we were all kind of like, I'm gonna go home and cry. Like that was the vibe of the comedy show. So
not how a comedy show should go.
So what I'm essentially hearing is that from a woman, that you're confirming women aren't funny.
Fuck right off.
I just want to.
You can fuck right off. Honestly, what's interesting is the other performers were not women. I think they were all three of them were men. However,
and the men were funny.
However, there are some very funny women in comedy, so I don't agree with that. But
5.
This woman, what's that Sarah woman? She's got brown hair. I mean, here's the thing. What's her name? Sarah Silverman?
Yeah.
She's funny. Amy
Schumer.
Amy Schumer is not funny at all. She's
Amy
not
Poehler. Amy Poehler.
Amy Poehler's great.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
I like Schumer's early on shit, but then like or later shit.
I actually loved her on Comedy Central's roast.
Mm-hmm.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny women, but they usually go on to do like TV or movies. I mean, there's most of them are very like mainstream, I would say.
That's what I do personally.
I'm a pretty mainstream woman.
Yeah,
You look mainstream.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Wise has joined us.
Do we get a camera? There we go.
What is up?
Hey.
Can you guys hear me okay?
We hear you, bruv, with that beautiful Austin FC shirt on.
Look at that thing.
Lisos, am I right?
Look at that thing.
What's up, brother?
What's up, guys?
Dude,
how you doing, man?
How was your weekend?
It was really good, man. Besides the Texas game.
We don't want to talk about
it. We can leave that one out there. Yeah.
Let's take a moment to actually talk, because there's not many people I can have like serious Longhorn conversation with, and for the non-football fans, we promise we won't carry this on entirely long. Bro, Like,
Ow.
really? I mean, that's all we can really say to describe what's going on right now. It's like I'm living my nightmare all over again from last season.
And that's how it has to be. Ouch. Now let's move. You know?
No, that's not. We're not. We gotta get
She's like,
I don't know. I just don't know. Gary.
look, this is Juan's therapy session. He skipped therapy
Yeah,
this
I need
week,
this.
so like he needs this.
I was
Yeah.
watching it play by play from Mexico, losing my fucking mind, trying to act like I wasn't bothered by this while I was looking at tortured shit in a museum. It was wild. But
How badly do we need Quinn Ewers back?
Not reliable.
badly,
Badly.
very
I'd
badly.
argue.
And I don't know what's going on with the defense either. The defense is just like can't tackle now. Like,
Bro, when I tell you that I was at Armadillo Den and then there was a point in the game where we're up by 10 and I was like, all right, I no longer, I'm not superstitious. I'm a little stitious.
I'm
So I
a
was
lot
sitting in-
stitious.
I was sitting in this one bar stool and I was like, all right, right here, we're winning. We're killing it. I'm going to get up and go grab a beer. As soon as I get up and go grab a beer, we don't convert the fourth down. And after that, everything just goes to shit. And I'm like, you know what? This is what happens.
it's your
This
fault.
is why you don't get up. So honestly, you can probably blame the Texas game on me.
So
I
I
was
really want to.
So there, our defense, was having trouble, but I think where it was troublesome is you caused 3 turnovers and didn't recover any of those fumbles.
Yeah.
And then Bijan Robinson, uncharacteristically, fumbled that
You're
ball.
one guy that never messes up.
Messed
Yeah.
up, which is like, it goes to show you the game that we were just going to have was just a tough one. And when you have, I think, someone like Hudson Card, it's like everyone else has to be perfect because he's
Yeah.
kind of not
He's
that
not.
guy.
Yeah.
He's the backup. Like
he's a
quintessential
phenomenal backup.
He reminds me of Alex Smith. Like, remember the Alex Smith
Yeah.
Chiefs? Like, as long as they had everything else going right, Alex Smith was not going to lose the game. But you did not need to leave it up to Alex Smith to win the game. Like,
Facts.
literally.
And that's pretty much where it is. And it even happens when you see the play calling. You can clearly see the difference in this
They
play
don't.
calling.
Yeah.
That they don't believe in him, nor should they.
Is Quinn coming back next week?
Everything I was reading said it's possible, but it's probably still going to be hard. So we'll see. At least I think
Yeah.
we'll have Worthy back. Obviously, we'll have Demo the whole game instead of half a game.
Yeah.
So that'd be
We'll
nice.
see.
But we'll,
I doubt
we'll
we'll
see.
see. I doubt we'll see him back until Oklahoma. Honestly, like
Yeah.
if I was Texas, I wouldn't bring him back until Oklahoma, just because I don't want to risk anything.
No.
All right, we're done being sad about all of that. Chris, dude, this has been a long time coming. You are one of the OG fans of the show.
Yes, sir.
And we were trying to do this episode actually last season, and then we ended up by killing it short. We never got around to it. So wanted to bring you in on this one, man. And we're going to talk shop about the housing market. We got a couple questions we'll run through you.
Absolutely.
But as every guest on this show has to survive and go through, which no one has ever survived the 5 questions of doom.
Actually not true. That's how I got to be permanent.
Not one person's ever survived this. Like this, the 5 questions of doom. Look at the hand; it's coming through the camera right now.
It's going through the camera.
Actually, before we start, Chris, tell the people what you do and why. I mean, this is why we specifically have you. So yeah.
Okay, so what I do, guys, is essentially I'm a mortgage loan officer. I work a little bit more on the processing side than the sales side. I'd like to say, like, I'm not a sales guy, but I'm in sales kind of thing. How it works at most mortgage shops is you usually have a mortgage loan officer that'll call either through Zillow or realtor referrals, things like that. They'll get someone on the phone, kind of go over their game plan, and then sometimes if they're just a realtor loan officer, they'll kind of just stick with it the whole time. Or in cases like ours, we'll have a sales agent that usually reaches out and then they work with a partner or a teammate. We usually call it like a production partner. That's where I am. That's where I come in. I look at your loan, I look at your credit, look at your income, look at your assets. And I say, hey, it's either going to work or it's not going to work. And then if it doesn't work, I will try to do everything in my power to research every different guideline, every different loan program to at least say either, hey, I can't get you here, but I can get you here. But if you do this, this, and this, then I can get you here. Or I can say, hey, it's really not going to work right now, but 6-7 months down the road, let's see what we can get that to get you here. A lot of my job involves assessment with credit. I wouldn't necessarily call myself like a credit specialist. There are people that they consider that jobs, but what I can do is I can look a lot at someone's credit just from doing this for the last almost 3 years, and just tell you, hey, this, and this is really messing you up. This is where if you want to get to a 720, you want to get to your 780s, you know, you want to stop having to worry about these people calling you for this, and this is how you do it.
So, as a mortgage loan officer, what is your jurisdiction? How many people have you arrested?
Well, I've arrested over I say I probably.
Oh, you're not that kind of officer.
Not that kind of officer. No,
oh,
there is a whole test. Which, by the way, I can't hear. I have a super sneaky cat, so if he jumps up on the chair, like
totally fine.
I'll try to get him down as soon as possible.
Totally fine. It's welcome.
His name's Mr. Biggles.
Jess is a crazy cat lady, so you're right.
Oh, really? His name's Mr. Bigglesworth. If you want him, I'm sure he'll jump here at some point.
Bring him on.
Bring him on.
Yeah.
Where'd you go, buddy?
What's his name?
Oh, yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Mr.
I was
Bigglesworth.
absolutely not expecting that cat. I was expecting like a dumpster cat, like mine.
He's a super tall cat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a big boy. He turns 1 in like 3 weeks.
Turns
Oh my God.
1.
What
Good
are
Lord.
those? And they're not Abyssinians. What are they called?
Oh, this is a Sphinx.
Sphinx.
He's a big Sphinx. Yeah.
And what type of Pokemon is that?
It's a Mew.
It's a Mew.
Oh,
I was about to say,
okay.
it's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
a Mew.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Great.
It's hilarious. He likes to be held like a baby. Like he doesn't like to be like lifted up, but
That-
like legitimately,
He's
like,
got
this
he
is
just
his.
looks in heaven right now.
Oh,
So wait,
bro,
does
it's
he wear
ridiculous.
Better to keep him warm?
To keep him warm, so like he doesn't have hair, so you gotta like keep him warm. Essentially, during the summer months, it's not as bad, but like when it starts getting cooler, or if it's like super hot and we have the house super cool, he'll try to like go sit in the window somewhere to get like heat anywhere. But yeah, I got some more sweaters getting ordered here for him. But
So,
yeah, he heard me
so
talking to some. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, you go first. You go.
No.
He heard me talking, and that's why he was trying to.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Oh,
He muted you. There you go. So my friend's brother is getting a Sphinx. And what are the tips? What would you say? What would you give him? You're on mute again. Yeah, there you go.
no, you're fine. I was muting myself because he's purring super loud. I didn't want him to like switch to
let
me.
the purrs happen.
Let the purrs happen, sir. Purr. Honestly, I would just make sure that he's aware that you do have to bathe these cats. So you do bathe them. He doesn't get as dirty as he did when he first got here. But I was legitimately bathing them like once a week. Now it's like once every 2-3 weeks. But so there is some like special care that goes in with them. Sorry, go ahead.
Is it like, I mean, you put him in the tub and is it like to give the baby a bath? I mean, he has no hair.
Basically.
What?
Like he put him in the sink. I put him in the sink because in the tub, I got him. Sounds ridiculous. Sounds like a crazy cat person now. I have a big dog too, but I got him like these essential oils that essentially calm him down. Because what we do is we try to put him in the tub and he would like freak out because obviously like we're like sitting there trying to corner him while he's in the tub. He already doesn't like water, so he's like, what the hell is going on? But yeah, we put him in the sink and we kind of just like bathe a little part of him, and sometimes he's super cool with it. Sometimes he's like not about it. So, but at least there's like an open area for him to not like feel like he's cornered. And then we just, as soon as he's like chilled out, go grab him, try to finish up the rest of it. But
freaking awesome.
He's a really cool cat. I didn't think I was gonna be super. I didn't think I was gonna like love him as much as I do, but then he does that.
Did you always have a cat, or is this like your first cat?
No, this is the first cat I've had since I was like 7 years old. I literally had, my boss has a realtor friend, and he got this cat for his kids, not realizing that his kids were allergic.
Oh.
And so he thought that because the cat was completely hairless, his kids wouldn't be allergic, which usually they aren't as hypoallergenic as other cats, but the hypoallergenic doesn't come from the hair, it comes from their saliva.
Oh.
So when they're rubbing all over themselves and rubbing all over the house, they're still leaving little bits of that like stuff that makes people allergic to them. Yeah. So if you're not, he thought he could get it thinking, hey, I could get a pet for my, kids and they won't have any issues. But he was just like, hey, I just want to make sure it goes to a good home because these cats are literally like $3,000.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I was like, hey, like,
Not
me and my
cheap.
girlfriend. Sorry, go ahead.
I just said not a cheap cat.
Oh no, not at all. And I was just like, hey, like me and my girlfriend, we have a dog, but like he's super chill. We'd love to have him. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, well, how much do you want for him? He's like, bro, if you just come get him today, like you can have him. And I was just like, are you for real? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay.
He's like kind of like ET in you. I am freaking love.
Yeah.
He is alien like, but I'm totally with it. And
No,
now he's getting a tail. This is amazing. I'm
yeah.
loving
No.
it.
She's like,
This seriously
This
might
is the
be
greatest
Jess's favorite episode. Yeah, this is Jess's favorite episode.
The whole entire time than anything else. I like you, Chris, but your cat is the star of the show.
No, yeah, he really is.
Let us steal the show, man.
Dude,
Let's steal the
I
show.
appreciate you, bro.
little hands. Like, dude, his paws look
His little beans.
Well, when he reached out, it looked like he's an alien. Yeah.
No, he is. I'll send a video or something to Juan so he can share with you guys. But he was chilling, and there's a lizard that walks by the window every now and then, and he has no problem standing on his hind legs and just like.
I saw you post that.
But but he's naked, so it's just this little Hank Hill booty sitting up there at the window.
That's funny. I love it.
That's solid gold, man.
All
I
right.
love that.
All right. So we are ready.
Ready,
for the
Chris?
5 questions.
Oh, for these 5 questions? Hold on,
Didn't
buddy.
we start the questions already?
No, we didn't.
We-
No,
not.
you didn't.
We
Y'all. He was
stopped.
asking me how many people I arrested as a mortgage loan officer, which is
Yeah.
technically not my
That
job.
was not.
but I will say, just to cut in before I do that, I have had 3, not from myself, but I have had 3 borrowers that definitely try to claim what we call the F word, fraud. In my experience, and it's so funny because it's always the people that are like super I guess I don't know if self-righteous is the word, but like, hey, like this is, it's my right to own a home, you got to do this, you got like, it's the people that press you the hardest that you're like, I feel like there's something else going on here.
There's something here.
Yeah, it's never failed every time.
Now the 5 questions of demise.
Okay.
The 5 questions of murder.
Of death.
I don't know about death. That's not
Death. Nobody
You
lives.
go die. You go die.
He was like, you know what you signed up for.
Yeah, you knew. Maybe you want to go ahead and start that off?
Oh shit! I'm done.
Start it off.
You want?
Yeah. All right. So first question. It's a 2-parter. All right. So, how much money did you make off of me, you scumbag? I know you robbed me. You robbed me. You stole money from me. And then this is part 2. Hold on. Part 2 of this. All right. You're not going to interrupt me again. Okay. That's especially not this shit. Who's your favorite Disney hero? So just go ahead and answer those. No, that's a 1-part.
One question. 2 parts. How much you rob them for?
Mm-hmm.
Favorite Disney.
So Nabil, so literally, bro, long story short, I got through working with Juan to possibly look at purchasing his home. I was then I knew Nabil through Xbox Live, but Juan was like, hey, my boy Nabil is also looking to buy a home as well. Would you be able to possibly help him out? And I was like, hey man, yeah, absolutely. As Nabil has mentioned throughout the show, like it took him a while to find that right spot. The purchase price he was wanting, the monthly payments, I was slaving over hours, sending the boy breakdowns.
Nabil is very
text.
Yes.
He's like 9 p.m. He's like, hey man, this house looks great. They're listing $750. I want to offer $430. What do you think? What do you think at a minimal down we could possibly hit?
I barely have $10 to my name.
Yeah, he's like $10.
Help a brother out.
So after sending breakdowns and everything with Nabil, going back and forth and whatnot, Nabil had a great offer from one of his credit unions. A lot of times credit unions have issues closing loans in 30 days because of the fact that mortgage isn't their primary point of business, essentially. Yeah. Oh, hey, buddy. My dog's here now, too. Mortgage isn't their prime essential business. So what happens is it kind of gets backlogged in a way. The underwriters they have are usually writing personal loans, things like that. So everything takes a little bit longer than it would if you're working with a mortgage bank. So what I tried to hit Nabil was when they came with that great rate, I was like, hey, that's a great rate, are they gonna close you on time? And he was like, I'm actually not worried about that because I'm going to Spain for like 2 weeks. So like if it needs to take longer, then like it's not a big deal. And I was like, damn. Well, this is why I'm not in sales because I have no pivot. And so, so I was like, all right, well, I can't get him with the quick close. Let's see what I can do. So I went to my boss and said, hey, boss, like I've been working with this guy for 7 months. He's a good friend. I've known him for like 20. He's like, he's a good friend. He's like, and he's shopping you? I was like, look,
I personally told him
like,
that's his deal.
He told me to do that. That was the first thing he said.
He's like, hey, bro,
me.
don't be afraid to shop your limit. And I mean, we can get on that on another subject, but because that's really, I mean, that doesn't affect me as much as it would. There's certain times when it does, but it's really certain times when I'm like, hey, man, I get it. You got to get, you want to get the best deal possible. And usually it's the best way to do it. But so I went to my boss and he was like, hey, man, he's like, this is skinny. I was like, I know, but it's my boy. I've been working on this for a while. He was like, you offer him this, and if he doesn't want it, then you tell him to take it because he got a great deal. And he's like, we're basically working for free. So in the skin, maybe I really didn't make as much as I should have made off of you. But
Bill, you robbed him, essentially.
Yeah, essentially.
That's the mark of a good salesman. That's the mark of a good salesman.
I have to be honest.
Honestly, he saved my ass because the interest rate was rising daily, and I couldn't like it had gone from at this point. So when I started the housing journey, I started at a 2% is where I was at. By the time I ended, it was at a 4.2, and then the next day, the UFCU who I was working with went from a 4.27 to the next day it was like a 4.6, and I was like, Chris, can you help me out on this one, buddy?
And if I remember correctly, didn't your home not appraise for the amount that
it didn't? No, it didn't.
So what happens a lot of times?
So we even got even more creative on that part.
Yeah, because that's so. And I mean, now that I can say this, so what you caught us when you went under contract, you caught us in the transitional period.
Sure.
So we were actually switching the bank that we work under.
Okay.
The bank that we were moving to, they had a policy in place that doesn't allow you to essentially change what you originally disclosed to the borrower as far as what you were charging them.
Yeah.
Which most banks don't, because and we don't like to do that. But what happens is when you miss appraisal like that, it changes the terms. Remember how I was like, hey, this could change your rate because now instead of putting 10% down, you're essentially putting just the amount of coverage, like you're lowering your down payment. No, you're technically not, you are. And so technically, once we offered him that rate, we were like, all right, we're already getting skinny. And then once his appraisal came in, I was like, bro, we're even getting skinnier.
It in fact freaked me out that it didn't appraise as much. And I remember having to take the day because it's my first home and I don't know what I don't know. And like everything was like, what the fuck is like we would get on calls between me and Chris and Alfredo.
Yeah,
and it would be almost an hour long of me just asking questions and being like, I don't know what the fuck is happening right now. And you guys are like, here's what you need to look out for. Here's what you need to do. Now, the more important part of this is you didn't answer the second part. What the fuck's your Disney hero, dude? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, he drug that out. He didn't want to answer.
I am apologizing. So Disney, you mean Disney or Pixar?
I said Disney, damn it. Okay?
Pixar's got so many more heroes.
I don't give a shit.
You got Lightning McQueen.
Disney is like way better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I'm with you. But
wait a minute, doesn't Disney own Pixar now?
I think so.
Yeah, but technically,
it ain't a Disney character.
Okay, yeah.
It's not a Disney character. It's a Disney character.
Yeah.
Favorite Disney hero. Is it cliche to say Hercules?
Yeah.
No.
I think that's a super underrated movie.
I think he's like.
I don't think he's talked about enough.
I think that's a good one. People forget about it because he's not like a. They never like redid that. They haven't yet.
No, it's a great movie, and I don't hate The Lion King, but like I don't really consider somebody a hero. I feel like he had to do what he had to do, kind of thing. You know what I mean? He wasn't going to sit there and eat bugs for the next 6 years of his life. Like he was going to have to get out there at some point.
Okay.
Hercules.
And Peter Pan's kind of just weird to me. To be honest, the whole thought.
I don't think that's a hero.
Yeah,
Really?
like I saw some alternate ending where it's like Captain Hook and like Captain Hook's
Hook's a real
men
hero.
are, yeah, like they're trying to stop Peter from stealing kids and taking them to Neverland. So it's like,
Yeah.
just this whole, I was like, oh my God.
There's a very like undertone of pedophilia there. If I'm just gonna be honest with you. And it creeps me the fuck out too.
It's like I would agree with that as
One-
well. It's like Michael Jackson vibes, kind of like, let me take you to
Hey,
This
you wanna
place
get
where
my van?
you
Yeah.
never get older.
I got this
Yeah,
fun place
exactly.
for kids.
You'll be a kid forever.
Yeah,
Which
you'll be
is the
different.
premise of the movie It. So
oh my gosh, yeah.
Juan, your question.
Actually reading that right now.
I'm gonna let Jess ask her question. Yeah, go ahead, Jess.
Okay, so fuck, marry, kill,
Here we go.
queso, guac, salsa.
Ooh, so
I have a lot of
I'm-
judgment here.
okay.
Yes.
Does it matter what I start with?
No.
Nope.
I'm killing guac. And here's why.
Me too.
Guacamole lasts for 5 hours.
Not
5 hours.
big here, Chris. We are based on taste and likability.
Yeah, well, here's my taste and likability. I like my shit to last a little bit longer than 5 hours.
And to not be slimy.
And I just like, and then like that little brown thing it does when you're sitting at Matt's El Rancho for like longer than an hour, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's why.
I mean,
that's why we also ordered queso, because they can take this back and
I will also
I can
kill
take it home
guac
and reheat it.
because I've never met a guacamole that has just blown my mind.
We talked.
I mean-
We had this question, Juan. Where were we when somebody asked this? Because it was you with me, I think, because you responded that same exact way.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
just not
it's
an impressive guacamole.
But
It's-
that's because they're all really the same in a sense. But they're all-
Guacamole, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
The guac, like an avocado, can't be bad, really. It's the
But
same-
guacamole can be good with like shit in it. It's
You
just
said-
never been one that's like blown my mind.
I've had many. Keep going, Chris.
Fair enough.
Would you marry and
so
smash?
oh, who was I married in Smash? I am smashing salsa.
My man, right there.
And it's because salsa, you can have it this way, you can have it that way,
Mm-hmm.
you can have it habanero way, you can have it verde way, you can have salsa any way possible.
Yeah.
Disagree.
There's some bad salsas. There's some
There's
fucking
some
amazing
really-
salsas.
But there's some amazing salsas too.
I think we just
Mind-blowing
learned a little
salsa.
bit
Salsa is great.
about Chris's relationship life, but go on.
Look, you asked him the questions, all right?
No,
My
you-
girl.
All I know is I better not be the side piece. Go on.
And then you're marrying queso.
And I'm marrying queso because
I agree with that.
at the end of the day, queso is the same. It's not the same. I guess I shouldn't say it like that. The consistency and what you want to come home to is there. You know, I just it's hard to describe it.
And that's
Combat.
listen, to your same thing, right? Like I've never met a queso I haven't loved.
That's all, yeah.
Haven't
Even-
met one.
I mean, yeah, like it's just hard to. And maybe this is more about how much I like, you know, fucking salsa. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's wise because there's so much to be able to go to.
Yeah.
And then so you want something a little more consistent, something that you know at home in the queso. But it's just
You know what you're coming home to. Take care of kids every day. Taking
exactly.
care of the kids.
Taking care of kids. I know I'm gonna be in the bathroom later for 30, 45 minutes, but that's okay.
Worth it. It's
That's okay.
next question.
Queso. I agree. Next question.
All right. So I'm gonna hit you with this one, Chris. Now we've met Chris back in college.
Oh yeah.
We were in fact, you were a student worker. I was your supervisor for whatever the hell that meant.
That was my first job.
It's campus daddy.
It was
Working,
campus zaddy. Zaddy with the
There we go.
working in the dining hall, man. So like, I felt like food is kind of like our roots, man. It's the fucking foundation. So my question to you, what is your favorite food and why is it black licorice? I just want to know because this has been the thing that's bothered me the most about you.
So bad.
Just want to know.
So I just need to. I don't like licorice, bro. I don't.
I
went to. I went to New Orleans actually. I remember my birthday. And I went to the Sazerac house, and they had this whole like New Orleans style, these kind of flavored drinks. You know, blah blah blah. Everything was fire until we got to this one. I'm trying to remember what it was called. It wasn't the bee's knees, and it wasn't the Sazerac because those were delicious. But there was this one that was like the guy was like, "Yeah, this is gonna be licorice," and I was just like, I like turned around. And I felt bad because the dude was like really trying to sell it to everybody there. And like, I didn't want to just being a fellow bartender, I didn't want to just like right in front of his face and just like the rest of the crowd
roll that
just
shit
not,
out.
yeah, like just not. But I was just like, I literally took it and I like smelt it and I just kind of walked away and was just acting like I was looking at a piece of New Orleans history and right in the trash can, bro. It's so bad.
Ball it up. Throw that shit away.
And yeah, I just
We just had this conversation on that. It's so gross. It's so disgusting. I'm so
It's
mad.
gross. It's
So gross.
Just
Yeah.
like I don't know how people love Jaeger. Like love Jaeger.
Oh God.
Like, bro, it's black licorice. It's just like fucking alcoholic black licorice. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Honestly, I
I
can tolerate a Jaeger bomb. If somebody has to give me a shot, I can tolerate a Jaeger bomb for the little drinks that I can take.
No.
But I need Red. Yeah, it's got to be a Jaeger bomb though. It's got to be like with Red Bull. It can't just be like, hey, we're doing shots of Jaeger. I'm like, all right.
I also
Cool.
don't like Red Bull. It tastes so gross.
Also, Jaeger bomb is just your absolute worst.
Not a thing.
It's a literal nightmare for me personally. Yeah.
There.
There's some bars that still have refuel, so you can go get that knockoff.
There you go.
You ever heard of refuel? It was like a big thing back in like the mid 20 teens, like where bars instead of buying Red Bull, they have it on the gun. It was called refuel. It was awful. It literally tastes like what was that sports drink that had with Gatorade? Like it tastes like that version of Red Bull.
All sport.
Propel?
Oh yeah, all sport. It'd be like the
All
all
sport.
sport of Red Bull.
The knockoff Gatorade. All right. So you're 3 questions in. Moving into question 4.
Technically, you asked me a 2-part in that question.
I did.
That's
You asked
one
me what my favorite
question.
Food was, so
But I mean, I answered your food question and it was black licorice. So
fair enough.
He loves it. He loves it.
He loves it. So this one I think is interesting. I'm curious your thoughts. So you're a pappy. You're a
Man.
Haran. You're a father. You have a kid.
Yeah.
I want to know, like, so far in your young daughter's life, what
Mhm.
has been one of the most memorable or amazing moments you've shared with your daughter?
Crying is a plus.
You said what?
Crying is a plus. Go
Crying
on.
is a plus. Yeah, man. I'll answer that second question with the build there. So honestly, the greatest moments I have with my daughter is getting to watch her play with other kids. You know, it sounds kind of weird because I only have one kid, right? But when she gets to spend time with her cousins, see her interact, that's like a big thing, right? As a parent, you don't want your kid to be a dick.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Like no matter at the end of the day, you love your kid no matter what, even if they are, but you just ultimately do not want your kid to be an asshole.
Yeah.
I wish more people cared about that because maybe we wouldn't have as many assholes in this world. But
all
so
assholes.
watching my kid interact with other kids and seeing her like be patient and take turns and just be engaging is probably like my proudest moment as a dad. But nothing will be getting to like watch. My daughter loves Disney movies, and of course I
Perfect.
love Disney and Pixar. Yeah, so we will literally sit there and watch Disney and Pixar all day, and every now and then when
Who's
Sorry, go
your daughter's favorite Disney character?
she loves the villains.
Yeah.
We all do.
She's like a big villain. So like she was super into Alice in Wonderland there for a bit, and she kept calling the queen. But she loves Scar, and right now she's super into Aladdin. So Jafar is the character right
I
now.
love it.
Love
This is the
that.
thing I love about Disney shows that they kind of, I say Marvel kind of did a similar thing where like a lot of the villains teeter on the line
Yeah.
of like, if you really like pay attention, like they're not really that evil. They kind of
Right.
have a good point to some of their shit.
Yeah.
Like
Then,
Loki.
yeah, like
God, what a
I
great
love that
show. I
about
can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, me too. It's so good.
That was a great show.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Last question, man.
You made it.
Last question right here. Why are the Eagles fucking lame?
Bro. So,
Go on.
do you want to know how I became an Eagles fan?
No,
Because
I
I
don't
feel
care.
like as a Cowboys fan,
If you're an
I
Eagles
wanna
fan,
know.
like I don't.
Here's
If
the
you're an
thing:
Eagles
out
fan,
of
you have
out of
no-
everybody here, your team's undefeated, so I will allow you to speak.
You're not a person to me if you're an Eagles fan.
go Birds.
You got a Dallas Cowboy fan and a Giants fan and an Eagles. Like y'all are just all.
Kick the Giants' ass. Go on.
Let's go fly, Eagles fly. Let's do it.
Go Birds.
Did you actually kick her ass though, or was it actually like pretty close?
I think it's pretty close.
Did you actually lose though, or?
I mean, I'm not saying I didn't lose. I'm just saying, oh wow.
Yeah,
Hey
you didn't
guys,
look good.
guys,
You didn't
the
look
undefeated
good.
team's talking. The Eagles are
You didn't
talking.
look good.
Excuse me, guys.
Okay, Saints fan, go on 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Go off, King. So when I was a child, my mother was a single mom. She was a teacher and she also worked at the bingo alley in Round Rock. And I was Austin native, by the way. Don't mean to brag, you little unicorn.
not a
Wow.
lot of them.
Wow.
So when I was growing up, she would spend a lot of her Saturdays and Sundays working at the bingo hall in Round Rock. And so I would be at home and she would say, hey, when Seinfeld comes on, that TV better be off. So prime time, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., who's on the TV? Cowboys. But guess what else is on? Seinfeld. Guess who needs to be off the TV? This guy. Guess who was playing at noon all the time? The Eagles and the Giants. So I naturally like the color green more than I like the color blue.
That's crazy.
I
Not
And so
Donovan McNabb was pretty good.
Not
I was in third grade. In third grade. What are you?
we were killing it back then.
You couldn't. I literally would just watch. I was in third grade. Like when I tell you how much I was not paying attention, like I was literally just like, "Oh, they are playing what I sometimes play on Saturdays. This is fun to watch." Like, so I was like, "Okay, well, I like in my mind, I'm like, I'm an Eagles fan." So my mom bought me a McNabb jersey when I was in 5th grade. First day of school, I wear my McNabb jersey to school, thinking I'm like dope as fuck. I'm like, all right,
Everybody hated
myself
him.
a little girlfriend. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone talked mad shit.
They were
No,
so good
everyone-
back then.
Everyone had something to say. And I was just like, bro, like, why does everybody make fun of me for this? Why is it? And something flipped. And I was like, you know what, man, fuck these kids. I'm just going to be an Eagles fan. This is what I do now. So I'm just going to double down on this shit. And it worked out because guess which team these kids rooted for? The Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Just made it easier for you.
Guess who hasn't won 2 playoff games since the invention and implementation of the salary cap? The Dallas Cowboys.
Weird stat to bring up. Come on now.
It is the only stat you need. Once you can no longer afford to pay the entire
The Cowboys
team.
are so. I can't.
You know who was?
They
little known
invented the
fact,
salary cap in 95 and said, you will implement this in 96. And the Cowboys won one more Super Bowl and have yet to make it to the NFC Championship since.
You know who advocated that little known fact was Jerry Jones.
Which is hilarious because
because
it came back to bite him in the ass.
It's so hard. So hard. It was the worst. Anyway, we'll beat your ass in a couple weeks. It's okay. How happy were you?
Even Jess is like, I don't.
How happy were you when you guys won the Super Bowl finally?
Bro, when I tell you that besides my daughter being born and my last day in the Navy, that it was the 3rd happiest day of my life, I am not joking. Like I literally called my girlfriend at the time and I was like, she was like, are you crying? And I was like, yeah, this is the greatest team.
Greatest day of my life. There's something about your first one and getting to see it.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
I can relate with the Saints. I still watch that game quietly every once in a while.
I literally dropped $400 on my credit card an hour later. I was like, yes, give me that jersey. Give me this jersey. I'll pre-order the Blu-ray DVD. I don't care.
Did you believe Nick Foles was your guy?
Bro, so here's the thing. That season, if you actually watched the Eagles,
Wentz was slinging it.
Wentz was an
MVP.
MVP.
Yeah, no, I 100%.
Brady won it, even though Wentz played 3 less games. Brady won it with the same amount of touchdowns that Wentz had thrown.
Yeah.
And if you watch the games Nick started, the only game he really did good in those last, I think it was 3 or 4 games, was the end of the Rams game, After that, we beat the Raiders like 13-9. And I was literally like, well, this was a great season. Like this was fun. Next year we're gonna be good
in the
I
playoffs.
think it was insane.
Fun fact: Austin went to school with Carson Wentz.
Really?
Nice. That's dope.
Went to it, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think his 5th birthday party is the claim to fame. So yeah.
So being that you're an Eagles fan, my question is, does it bother you that there is a statue of Nick Foles in front of that stadium?
Not at all, because
I feel like he's the pride of.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, like no Philly fan should ever diminish what Carson Wentz did that season, because we wouldn't have gotten the first round bye without Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Like people forget about that. We had home field advantage throughout the playoffs because of what Carson Wentz did in the regular season. But if you're asking me if teams would have played Nicky Foles the same way they played Carson Wentz, hell no. They had 2 games of game footage of scouting on Nick Foles from those last 2 games since his last starts before that in 2014. They did not know how to play him. They were not prepared for a man to come out there swinging, as I would like to say. I know we're on YouTube. I got to watch what I'm saying. And did not expect him to come out there like that. So, no, I'm man enough to say it. Carson Wentz, we would not have gotten there without Carson Wentz, but we would not have won without Nick Foles. I do not.
All right, last Eagles question. Should you guys have fired Doug Peterson?
It wasn't even a firing. It was a mutual breakup. It was literally a creative difference, because Doug Peterson knew that Wentz was not his guy anymore. He wanted to start Jalen. The GM and the owner did not want to start Jalen yet because they invested so much money and time into developing Wentz. They were like, yo, what do you mean you want to start this guy we took as a development? Like we just paid this dude $20 million for 5 years, like last year. Like, you're telling me you're already over it? Like, no, like you're going to start this guy. And so then it started with Wentz and Dougie Peterson disagreeing, and then Wentz kind of being perceived as an asshole in the locker room because he didn't want to help Jalen, or he didn't want to do this and that. So at the end of the year, they approached Doug, and Doug was like, well, what do you guys do with the quarterback? I'm like, well, we're thinking about rolling with Wentz. He's like, all right, well, then I don't think I can be your coach if you don't want to like roll with the guy that I want to roll with. Like
they ended up trading, I think, that season anyway.
Yeah, they literally a month and a half later they traded Carson Wentz because I don't think they realized how much of an asshole he was being. Like, I think it was literally like an exit interview, but like they were saying that this dude would be in the locker room just being an asshole. Like he didn't want to help out the other quarterbacks. He didn't want to help out Jalen. Everything Jalen learned, he had to learn from watching film or get with the quarterback's coach, which, I mean, it's not his job to train somebody to replace you, right? But, like, if someone says, hey, how do you attack a cover 3? You could probably say, oh, I don't know. Like, I like to kind of either hit the shallow routes or something over the middle, not go fuck yourself. Like, it's that's not my job to help you. Like, so
100%.
Last little thing, I really hate that you guys have the Saints pick because you know it's going to be a top 10 pick because they're trash.
Facts.
Yeah.
Well, you survived the 5 questions of murder.
5 of doom, bro. How does it feel?
Feels great. Actually, I mean, I was a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This cat is that was my cat. That's he. Tell your boy that's getting the Sphinx cat. They love high surfaces. So no, man, I was kind of nervous coming on here. I just never really. I've done a podcast before, but I've never done one on video.
Yeah.
So I was a little nervous. So it definitely breaks up the nervousness there. It gets kind of a little more comfortable, ready to talk. So
alcohol helps.
It's pretty casual here. It's pretty
casual.
casual.
Does help. I do have a Shiner Bach or two, but Nabil, I opened up YouTube as I was getting set up, and I heard Nabil talking that shit. He was saying how I was late, even though I was told 8 p.m. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna try to get here as early as I can. But Nabil's ability to, turn me, into
a-hole.
To make
Nabil,
me, exactly.
Nabil is the reason this show only gets 4 stars. Just to be brutally honest with you, we don't get great reviews because of him.
He's sweet.
Our biggest complaint is this guy.
But I get paid the most, baby.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, you saved this show,
He's like
but Nabil is
the Skip Bayless of the day.
Don't compare
or like
that.
a Stephen A. Smith. Like people just turn it off when he starts going.
I know Chris Wise personally. We take a bath together every Saturday night. Yeah.
He's a dear friend of mine.
Can we just talk about how much,
Okay.
like, I know we don't like Stephen A. Smith, and no, nobody does, but my favorite pastime with Stephen A. Smith is logging in onto Twitter and waiting for him to drop a video when the Cowboys lose. It is
Insane.
quite literally.
It's hilarious.
Because he trolls people. He waits till like 11 p.m. and people are like, okay, cool. We can go to bed. Cowboys aren't, they had lost, but it's okay. Stephen A. Smith. And he'll literally post a video at 11 p.m. and be like, y'all thought I wasn't going to say nothing, didn't you? Y'all thought I would like it so. So funny.
I don't know who that is.
Well,
He's a very loud, angry black man.
he's like
on
a
ESPN.
very loud, exactly.
Who will not shave his head. His hairline is back
no
here.
matter how far his hairline goes
Touched
back,
up.
he just
Touched up.
Unfortunately, I know a few of those, so I feel they're just not ready to let, you know.
You just want to grab on to every little fiber that's left and just hold on for dear
Hear
life.
you.
Only an hour in. So basically, when you were going to get on is now we're starting the housing market conversation.
Works
hey,
great.
Opa.
I'm so
Hey.
good because I really didn't want this to go until 10 o'clock. So I was like, 8 is 8, man. I know we're going to take forever to get.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. The
We
traffic
talked-
was awful.
No,
No,
we
it's not on you.
actually the
It's
three
on
of
you.
us could talk a leg off a chair. So I'm so glad you're here.
Okay, perfect.
Ouch.
I want to
words.
start, if Nabil, if we're going to start this off, let's start with the fan question.
Yeah.
That's sitting here. So Chris, one of our fans, Michael Joyce, proposed this question. It's second by Yezi. They want to know what's the weighting / formula for mortgage approvals.
You said what's the what?
The sorry, I just lost it again. The weighting or the formula for mortgage approvals.
Uh-huh. Oh, like what? How does someone essentially? Sorry, I pulled up the YouTube thing so I can kind of see people here.
Oh yeah.
You're essentially just asking like, what do we look at when we qualify somebody, or like how does someone not get qualified? Like how?
Let's go either way with that.
Okay, so essentially, what ultimately there are products that allow you to. Sorry, can you see me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we see.
So there's a delay on YouTube. That's why I'm freaking out.
Yeah, the YouTube will mess you up.
Gotcha. I was over here like, oh, I'm too high. So essentially what we look at is it's called debt to income. So essentially what we do is you take the gross amount of your income. Let's say you make $75,000 a year. We take that and we divide it by your monthly housing payment. So your monthly housing payment, after that, is called your front ratio. So let's say, here, I'm gonna pull out my calculator because it's easier to just talk about it while I do it. So let's say you make $70,000 a year and your monthly housing payment, was gonna be $2,000. You have a front end ratio of 35. Now what we do is, because most people aren't like this, we take into account your liabilities. So minimum credit card payments, 1% to 0.5%, depending on the loan product of your student loans, and any other liabilities that you have monthly. And we add that into the housing payment, and then divide that again by your salary, and which gives us a back end ratio. So let's say your front end is just 70K divided by your housing payment, it's 35. But let's say you've got a $200 car payment, $75 a month credit card. So now instead of just taking that $2,000, we'd add $2,000 plus $400 for your car, $75 for the credit card.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take that again, divide that by your monthly income. So divide by 12, 2,400 gives us a back end ratio of 43. So essentially what we do is we try to make sure that qualifying back end ratio isn't more than what your qualification allows. Conventional, usually it's 50. FHA, you can get a little bit higher, around 56.7. VA is really weird. I mean, not everybody is qualified for VA loan. You have to have some time in the military. Mm-hmm. VA is a little bit weirder, where they kind of let you approve as whatever the system essentially says. If the system says you're good to go. And I say that system as an automated underwriting system, which I know I've mentioned to you before, Juan, in our dealings and the deal with yours. Essentially what happens, guys, is whenever you go to apply for a loan or whenever you're looking at getting pre-approved, because there's a difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval, which I can go into that with you. When you're pre-approved, essentially what a bank is saying is that they've reviewed your credit, they've reviewed your income, they reviewed your assets, they ran you through the first round of underwriting, which is the automated underwriting system, and they've gotten a, hey, we will lend to this loan. So essentially, they've written the first part of your underwriting. That's why when you get a pre-approval, your letter looks much better than a pre-qualification. So pre-qualification is just like, yeah, I looked at they told me their income was $85K. They told me they had $50,000 in assets. They told me, when I ran a soft pull on their credit, I didn't get all 3 bureaus, that they only have $350 a month in debts plus the, housing payment.
Yeah.
So they should qualify for this home.
Just based off of what I've told you, nothing off of actual numbers at all.
Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes with that qualification, there are a couple of documents that we will verify, but it's not in the rise of realtors, listing agents, everyone else. An approval is definitely something you want to go with, but not everyone wants to give all the documents up front. Especially like we were talking about earlier about getting shopped. Like people, they might apply to 6 or 7 lenders. They may not want to give their bank statements out to all 6 or 7 lenders. It's kind of just the nature of the business right now, especially everything being so competitive. Everyone wants to get the best rate. It's not common as it was a couple of years ago for someone to just talk to one lender and essentially, no problem, Michael. I'll post my email, my phone number in the chat later. So you can, if you have any specific questions, man, you can hit my line anytime. I'll have no problem answering. As Nabil said, just don't text me like Nabil did at like midnight. Asking for.
I hit him with that WYD. Hey, what you doing?
Hey, what you
doing, girl?
Hey,
you up?
You up?
You up? You gotta talk interest rates.
Don't do that right now. It's pretty bad.
So that's kind of leading to my next question. From when I started, it really wasn't my choice to wait 2 years before buying a house. I lost on a shit ton. You were there for some of the heartbreaks.
I know, man.
The market is kind of crazy.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of getting out of hand. I think Brick killed a guy. In fact,
basically what's happening at work today.
What happened? I mean, at least you're in Austin. What is your take on what it boomed and went insane? Was it the pandemic? I mean, your thoughts.
A little bit of both, yeah. So basically what happens, or what happened essentially in 2019, 2020. Rates were low because market was great. Everyone's buying. People want to encourage buying, so interest rates are low. As inflation started to creep up, interest rates also creeped up because as these interest rates are backed by government entities, they want the spending to go down. So that's why you saw this essentially, I don't know, we went from about a 3, I know with Juan, I was offering Juan a 3.75 in December of last year, to fast forward to May, Nabil's looking for a home and I'm offering him a 4.2, and I'm over here like, bro, if we don't lock this today, tomorrow it's probably gonna be a 4.75. So we're fast forward now, I'm having to tell somebody with a 780 credit score. Yeah, 780 credit score, 50% down, bro. You're perfect. Your qualification, your DTI is at 15 on the back end, and the best I can get you is maybe a 7.25.
Oh,
like it's just 7.25. That's without paying points, but like it's just tough right now. And I wouldn't tell them I'm offering a 7.25. I'd come in way lower because if I came in at a 7.25, they'd be like, we'll go talk to another lender, and someone's gonna find them, and then I'm gonna be myself in a bidding war.
yeah.
I just say it's insane right now. But sorry, go ahead. No, I was gonna say, I was like, but if you think about it, I mean, I don't know how long you studied or how long you were looking for a home. Maybe there's some older people in here. A 7% interest rate is still over time lower than what it used to be. It's just because we were so used to this 2018 to like 2%, 3%. and it just staying there for those years. And there was such a big housing boom, right? Like we had the pandemic, everyone's refining, everyone's like turning their home into a cash out cash out primary, buying investments because the market's the way it is and because they can get an investment property at a 3%. So if as soon as they have a family move into there, they're cash flow positive. Now, right now, with interest rates where they're at, because I'm not sure if I've really touched on this or if you guys know this, but like the interest rate for a primary home is way better than what you get for a non-owner-occupied home, essentially a second home or an investment property. So now you've got these people that, they may have wanted to buy an investment property. They might have the money to do it. They can afford it. But cash flow wise, it doesn't make sense unless they're just trying to stack up properties, because they're going to be taking a loss on these homes for the next 2 or 3 years, or however long it takes for rates to come down.
So what kind of interest rates are you seeing for those secondary homes? Because I know I've had a few
I'm curious
conversations
about
with people. Yeah, I've had a conversation with a few people and like looking into, doing like the Airbnb bit, right? Like finding these cheaper properties. And
short-term
Austin, I know
stuff
is not on anyone's list of places to do this at, just because of the fact that the housing market's ridiculous, right? But what are you seeing from that difference?
It really depends on how much you're putting down. Mm-hmm. So for second homes, here's the thing. You can always go online and find, hey, the minimum for a second home is this, or hey, the minimum for an investment is 15. But what I tell you, that if you don't bring 20 to 25% to the table for your non-owner occupied home, you're not going to, one, get the best interest rate, but two, that lender might not even have an interest rate to offer you, and the fact that they'll be charging you so many points to be able to afford to give you that interest rate. Yeah. So honestly, what I've been seeing with second homes and investments right now is I've been seeing anywhere from a 7.5 with 20% down. We do have options right now where people are looking at doing ARMs and 2-1 buy downs. But right now, from what I've seen, so an ARM is essentially an adjustable rate mortgage. Mm-hmm. Essentially what we're saying is over the next, depending on how long you set your ARM up for, your rate will be fixed until this time. So if you do like a 7-1 ARM, what you're saying is for the next 7 years, every year, your rate is going to go up this percent. A lot of people do that whenever the market is down, because what they want to do is they want to take advantage or they're basically playing the market. They're saying, okay, well, yeah, like I'll take this interest rate now and it's a little bit lower, and I'm going to bet that in the next 2 to 3 years, these rates are going to go down. Now, the thing the risk with that is if they don't, then now you're looking at your interest rate raising a percentage every year. And it's based off the qual rate. So it's based off the market. So if the market just keeps going up, that interest rate's going to keep going up.
So if you did that in 2019 to now, you made a bad bet.
Oh, for sure. But there were people doing that in 2019 because 2019, they were as low as possible. So if someone asked me for an ARM even in March of 2021, I'd been like, dude, what are you doing? There's no reason. Like, why would you even want to just be like, you want to take the risk of not getting a 3.25 to see that you might be able to get a 2.7? And like, no, bro, just do the 30-year fixed all in a day.
So do you think like we're in a bubble?
Yeah, I mean, so I've never, because like I said, I've only been doing this for 3 years. I've never seen what happens when the bubble bursts. I've never seen what it looks like whenever the housing, 2008 housing market crashes, right?
Yeah.
Never seen that. I do think we're in a much better place here where we're at. And I can't speak for everyone watching, like here in Austin, as far as the market, like your equity that you've both built in your homes, not really getting affected.
Yeah.
But for other areas of the nation, it is pretty bad. I just know a lot of people in California. Nobody else go to California, but like trying to buy a home right now in California is insane. Because not only do you have these homes that are valued at, 1 million and 1.5, and it's not even that. It's granted it's gotten higher, but it's a 600K home that you can find here in Austin. But they have the same issues that people have in Texas. You have your down payment. You have your closing costs, you have this and that. And so, and even if they're, they might be a software guy, they might be an IT sales guy, they might make, the 6 figures, but but your teacher who makes 50K, your guy who hustles working at Home Depot and Lowe's that maybe pulls in 75, 80 with some overtime, they can't afford anything.
Yeah.
And at the same time, with the inflation and the way everything's going, they can't afford to rent either. So it's like, while everyone's like, oh, I'm afraid to buy a home, it's still better than honestly like renting, but it's just nuts right now whenever you try to explain that to somebody. But you can see it easier here in Austin because, I mean, I have a 2-bedroom apartment. We got one, I was paying $14.50. Come next time, it's up $15.75. Comes up again, I'm like, if it goes up another 75%, like, we're just gonna find another place to live because, like, there's no, like, at this point where, you know, we're using money that we could be using to buy a home to build equity into that we're not building equity in.
The renting market has gone up as well. Yeah, like people.
Oh, I mean, it's quite a bit. Like so when I moved to Austin, which was about 5 years ago, so not too long ago, I was living like 22 area, so like pretty far out there. But my rent was like $800 a month. Yeah. Okay, just for 22, which is still by Lake Travis. I mean, it's far out. I moved downtown maybe 2 years ago during the pandemic. And even then I got a very large 1-bedroom on Lake Austin, on Lady Bird Lake for $1,500, which I thought was a steal. Yeah. That same place now is going for like $2,500. Like not a joke. I mean, I saw my condo for rent maybe like 3 weeks ago. We just moved into a house, we're renting. And it's $3,000 for a 3-bed, 2-bath. So I was like, that's a no-brainer. I mean, apartments are just jacking it up. Crazy. Yeah. It's totally different.
I remember moving to my first apartment at Delve, being worried about how I could afford this at $700 in rent. It's fucking insane.
Isn't that crazy? When you
That's
think
wild.
About it? I know. I was teaching back in the day. So 5 years ago I was teaching, and I was probably making like, I can't even believe that I lived on this, but I was making maybe like $38K, not to expose myself, as a teacher. And I was living. I mean, not like I wasn't going out and like, you know, doing what I do now maybe, but I was doing okay with $700, $800 in rent. You're not, I mean, it's not, you know, it's totally different here now. I mean,
that was my, when we met working at AT&T, I was making $35 a year, but my apartment rent was $624. Wow. This was back in,
what was that, Sonoma? No, it's not Sonoma.
No, this was Steeplechase.
Yeah.
Chase and Round Rock. Yeah, that was like the cheapest thing I could find at the time, and like it was pretty good. It's where like I never forget the happiest day of my life was moving out of that place. And I'm getting everything done, and we're wrapping up like the move, and the last thing I have was this like little shitty barbecue pit that I had on my patio, and I missed the last step going down the stairs and face plant into the barbecue pit as I then fall flat on my face. It was so just imagine moving all day in the heat. You just have no energy left. And my parents were there.
Bro, please tell me you just kind of sat there for a second.
I imagine that you just laid there.
Yeah,
just
I'm assuming that this is a painful thing.
It was not a comfortable thing.
Yeah. I mean, thinking of like
my face broke my fall.
In the Richmond area, it's almost cheaper to rent than to buy right now. So it leads me to my next question. With the housing market the way it is, would you still recommend people to buy? Because I mean, you're getting land, and that's always going to find its way in value versus rent.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. It's still a great time to buy. The only problem is, and I was thinking about this on the way home because I was like, I feel like they're going to ask me this question. The problem right now with trying to buy is like, I'm not sure who that is. I can't see the name. It just says in the Richmond area. We're having trouble qualifying people because of how high the interest rates are and with the housing market here in Austin. So it's forced a lot of people to go outside of Austin proper. So looking at San Marcos, looking at New Braunfels, looking in Gerald, Belton, Colleen, these kind of areas, which not necessarily a bad thing, but those people don't always, not everybody works remote.
Yeah.
Not everybody can pick up and drive an hour to work every day. Not everybody, which it's, might be common in some places. I know, like when I was in California, I used to be in the Navy. When I was in San Diego, people would drive an hour out to Temecula all the time. Like, that was not uncommon for people to, because it was so expensive to live in San Diego, to drive to Temecula. That's not always an option for everybody. But the problem is, like I was talking about, how we have the teachers, or I say the common man, because that sounds wrong. Like, that's not really what it is, but it's the people that are your average home buyers, and not your 6-figure, 7-figure. I've got all the assets in the world. I've never made a mistake in my life with my credit. I've saved up since I was 18, are having trouble finding homes in the Austin market because the interest rates are so high and the prices are where they are. They can't afford anything. And even if they can't afford it qualification wise, like I was talking about with the DTI issue, they can't afford that monthly payment. I can tell someone that makes $120,000 a month, hey, all right, well, we got you qualified at $500K, adding in your homeowner's insurance, your taxes, your $200 to $300 and possibly a month at HOA. If you're looking at a condo, you're going to be looking at about $3,800 a month. Excuse me? I pay $1,900 right now for my apartment, and I'm struggling. So it's still the best time to buy, but it doesn't make sense for everybody. And that's the difficult part, is because if the interest rates were lower, more people would be buying. Not true.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's exactly. I did a home for a guy that he works in Houston, but he works in Baton Rouge, but he lives in Houston.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he's some kind of he does oil. He has oil tech rigging and things like that. So he works for 2
drives
weeks.
there in the Baton Rouge, stays in Baton Rouge.
He drives in the Baton Rouge, stays there, and comes back. But for him, it made sense to buy, right? Because he's like, man, he used to be a homeowner before. He lost his home in the pandemic. He lost his job, and so then he had to sell his home in the pandemic to be able to live. And then now he's purchasing a home again. But like I said, he's got a great job. He's got good credit. He has the assets that he's been saving on, working his ass off for. Not everybody has that. So what we're finding is, we'll have these people that are searching Zillow or searching Realtor.com, and they're like, oh man, $350,000. That looks really nice. I bet, let me put a mortgage calculator in here. Okay, well, I have a friend that bought a home 2 years ago, said the interest rates are 275. So let me pop a 275 in there and see what that looks like. Okay, well, $1,800 a month. That looks like something I can do. In reality, it's not a 275.
Yeah, it ain't there no more.
That's been gone, bro.
So
how accurate are those calculators, by the way? Because I hear they're wildly inaccurate.
Honestly, man, they're wildly inaccurate. The best thing to do is just consult your mortgage professional, or consult, at least go look. What I do every now and then, if I don't have my NMLS up, is I'll just go Google mortgage rate today. You'll get an average rate of hey, if I had a credit score, this is not, take that rate, put it into a mortgage calculator, and then make your decision.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be, you're going to get your answer whether or not, right? But you feel, I've done that before I was in this market. Before I was in this field, and I felt so stupid thinking that oh yeah, we're good. I was oh, 1,800, I'm splitting, 900 with my girlfriend right now. I can buy that. Let me apply for a mortgage. And then they're like, yeah, actually, so it's 2,800 and it doesn't look like you're gonna afford that. So let's wait a couple months. And I'm like, well, I wish I would have researched this, or I wish somebody told me that it was different.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to bring up, though, while we're talking about monthly payment and affordability and things like that, what you guys will notice as it's coming into play with your taxes is it's tax season. It is property tax season. What that means, especially for you guys here in the Austin market where it's been booming, is that 2021 market value is about to turn into the 2022 market value. When I tell you that I've seen a home jump from a market value of, I think I did one today where it was at $580K in 2021, and the new market value is going to be $750. Yeah. So you want to do So let's say
I got
your
to sell
tax
my
rate-
house. Is what I'm hearing right now. I need to hurry up.
what I'm trying to tell you is you guys got to be ready for when the tax bill comes out and they go take your escrow account and then they set your taxes back up for that monthly payment to be a little bit higher. That's why you got to make sure you're always applying for every exemption that you qualify for. I know not everybody in this chat's probably over 65 or disabled or a veteran, but if you own, what percentage?
All of it.
All of it.
Whatever percentage gets me the discount.
Thanks.
Make sure you're applying for those homeowners, or excuse me, the homestead
Act. Yeah.
Yes.
Bro, speaking of the homestead, my biggest pet peeve of that thing, I applied when I bought my house. Like my realtor was on it. She was like, here's your forms, everything you need to fill out, fill this out, and then like I'll check. Bro, she had messaged me probably 3 months ago and was like, dude, it still hasn't gone through. Email this person, call whoever or whatever. So like email, call, crickets, nothing.
Yes,
I shit you not. Friday in Mexico, I got the email saying that it went through.
And I mean,
I applied in January.
I have no idea how to apply actually.
Oh,
How do you apply?
I'll
look for the link.
We'll send you the link, man. We'll get you
Okay.
set up. Yeah.
Actually, let me pause right there because we introduced you, but how do people get in contact with you? Please promote yourself.
Absolutely.
What's your email? All that stuff.
Is the best way for me to put my email in the chat? Because I can do that right now.
Do that.
Go for it.
Oh, there's my cat.
God, that cat's so awesome.
Look at him.
Get comfortable. Get comfortable.
Yeah, he will.
Awesome.
He has no problem with that.
Get comfy, buddy.
Oh, don't show them that, buddy.
Nice.
Try to get banned from YouTube. This is a great show.
He's so cute.
Thank you.
My cats are not that cool. Like they don't just like, I mean, they're not agile because they're very fat, but they literally don't just like jump up on my shoulder. Like that's not something that happens.
He's very loving. When I tell you that the dog is my girlfriend's dog. And he, once we got the cat, they they got along or whatever. The dog would never greet me. The dog respects me. The dog treats me as, I'm alpha, like he knows what it is. But he just wouldn't greet me. Unless I had food, he would not greet me. When I got home, this cat would come home and he would run up to me and jump in my arms and want to be held and greet me. When I tell you that the dog got so jealous that now every time I come in, he comes to the door to greet me. It is ridiculous. Hey, buddy.
He's all over you. So cute.
So your dog sees you and it's just like, hey, what up, brother?
Yeah, he's like, hey, man, what'd you bring?
Like,
oh, you still here?
Somebody needs to do this laundry. It's been sitting here for a while.
That's funny shit.
But yeah, I just put my email and my phone number in there. Like you said, you guys feel free to shoot me an email, give me a call, or shoot me a text first. That way, and set up a call. That way, you feel like we got plenty of time to have conversation. I told Juan whenever I first look at getting Juan qualified, I was like, we don't always just qualify you or not qualify you and then hang up the phone. My whole job is to develop a game plan if you don't qualify to see what we can do later down the road to get you there. I don't make any promises. I can't say that I'm going to get you there, but what I can say is, hey, I'm going to make the steps and tell you what to do that could possibly get you there. And I'm not just going to stop calling you or not texting you. I'm going to check in, see how you're doing, things like that. So we don't like to just tell people, hey, you don't qualify. Appreciate your application. You'll get a letter in 30 days and you'll find out why you weren't qualified. That's not what we like to do. It's not how you build relationships.
I'll give a plug for you guys as well. That's like, even though I went with a different group, I didn't even go through you. Like Chris and team still followed up with me. Even as I bought the house, I moved into the house, still got notification from the guys. They shot me a message, email, just checking to see how everything was going. So hats off to y'all, man. Y'all do a really great job over there.
And we sent Tip Streets, man. You forgot that part.
They did send me Tip Streets, and a lot of them.
I think I ate them.
Well, just buy a house.
Tip Streets? Yeah, we can get you some Tip Streets. But yeah, man, make sure you apply for that homestead. It definitely will help you out. But yeah, I say that to say, like, we've got a lot of people that they might have thought they could afford their home at this payment. Now those taxes are coming out. It's going to be, we've told everyone, but it's going to be a little bit of a wake up call. So just make sure you guys are keeping that in mind. Make sure you're saving. if a lender brings that up to you and they say, hey, we're going to set your taxes up for this, but they're going to be this, make sure you're saving, or make sure you're heeding what they're telling you, because the amount of conversations I've had to have with people and be like, hey, look, you can afford this home qualification rise if we close with the 2021 taxes, but based off the 2022 taxes, your payment's going to go up $300-400.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's going to be comfortable for me anymore. I don't know if it's like, okay, well, it's up to you ultimately.
Is the homestead only a one-time thing, or can you do that every year?
Oh, well, when you apply for it, you don't have to apply for it. You should be able to just keep it on there. Now, what happens is some people will apply for that homestead and say that it's a primary home, and then they'll do an investment cash out and then get upset whenever the homestead gets removed and they can no longer use that homestead. It's like, well, homestead is for your home. It's not for your short-term rentals, your Airbnbs, your investment properties, things like that.
Yeah.
It says it literally can't find my house.
Oh, you don't exist.
The limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist.
We can take that.
Oh, there it is. I found it.
Did you find it? I was gonna say, I was like, I can look up your like legal description and we can Google that.
And I want you to go ahead and let everyone know my legal descriptions.
Yeah, just throw all that.
Do you really want to? Do you guys know how to do that? I can always teach y'all how to do that. Not that it matters.
We can do a workshop.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can get on YouTube, show you guys how to look up tax bills.
We'll do the daily Convo workshop, and for all who want to come on, set it up.
Little DIY.
I'm just looking at all this stuff right now. So cool.
Chris, I'm curious. As long as you've kind of been doing this thing, like, have you come across something that's just been like mind blowing, or just like a weird situation, or just you had to jump through some crazy hoops to like pull some shit off for people,
to make some shit work
outside of me?
No, neither of you guys. No. So what I did have recently is we had a borrower who do you want me to tell you the fraud story, like the bad stuff? Or do you want
definitely.
Yes, actually, 100%.
That's I want to hear that and the crazy shit.
Let me tell the fraud story
Spill
first,
the tea,
because this dude pissed me off so much. Oh my god! So, do you guys remember the winter storm that happened in probably February of last year?
We remember.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, me and my previous apartment, me and my girlfriend were on an emergency grid over on North Lamar, and so we had service. Most of the people in my company did not, and so people were asking me to kind of like run applications, help them out with things like that. We had this married couple in California, and I will not say their names for legal purposes. They were telling us that they were going to be essentially moving to an area of Texas, I'm trying to be as non-descriptive as possible, to start a driving school. And they had an offer letter that said, hey, I'm scheduled to open up a driving school on this day. I'll be making this much a year. Excuse me. And it looked legit. Had a letterhead, had a signature, everything like that. Keep in mind, I'd only been doing this for maybe 7-8 months. So like my antennas weren't going up. All the questions that need to be asked weren't being asked. One, because we're in a winter storm and I'm more worried about my family, staying on power and staying on this and staying on that. But two, because half of my teammates that I would say, hey, does this look good? Wouldn't be able to review it. Well, took a look at everything. Winter storm ends, finally get back, and we set them up. Everything looks fine, and they're qualified. Now, what they do is they call my manager, and they say, hey, like, you guys got us qualified, do this and that. Like, don't worry. Like, we're going to send everybody to you. There's a bunch of people coming here to open up the driving school. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Cool. All hunky-dory. Sounds like everything's good. Fast forward to they find a home to purchase. Now, keep in mind, I forgot to mention this part. They were doing down payment assistance. I'm not sure if I told you guys kind of what down payment assistance is, but essentially there's a minimal qualifying credit score where the government, or in this case, TSAC, Texas State American Housing Corporation, will give you a percentage of your closing costs if you qualify credit score wise and income wise, as in like you don't make more than, depending on where you live, it's anywhere from like 82K to like combined household income of like 125K, which depends on where you live. But they were qualified for this program. Now they called my boss and were like, oh, hey, like we're so excited. We're going to start this job here, blah, blah, blah. They go under contract for this house. We set it up and we say, all right, here's how it goes. So this is the monthly payment. They're cool with that. All right, your cash to close is $7,000. Oh man, we've only got like 4. Like, well, guys, like the bank statements you showed us showed, yeah, exactly. The bank statements you showed us showed just you had, you know, $5K in this savings account and then another $10K in this business account and then another $5K in a retirement account. Like where's
that at?
What's going on? They're like, oh, well, the business account is ever changing. We had to move this around, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, okay, it's like, okay, well, like we need to, they were thinking we were going to come up with that 3K. And I was like, look, like, that's not how it works. Like,
that's pretty damn ballsy.
So they had, oh yeah, absolutely. That was the first instance where we should have realized that this was not going to be a fun transaction / client. We're like, hey, like that's not how it works, guys. Like we told you this is what the amount of cash to close we're gonna need to close. We issued you a letter with you believing that this is the amount of cash you have to close. Like we can't close with 3K less and like call it good. And so they backed out of that contract, ended up, you know, a month and a half later finding a new home. Now, when we initially pushed that file up without those assets, our underwriting manager looked at their offer letter and was like, this looks kind of weird. Nothing with the font was weird. Nothing. She's been in the mortgage business for 7-8 years. And she's seen some shit. And she was just like, yeah, it just kind of throws my ears up. Which now I do this now that she does it. But she went to, and this meanwhile, they're under contract 2 days after they do this one. They just had a really good realtor. And it was in the Dallas market too, so a lot less competitive than Austin at that time. Yeah. And they go under contract, but she's looking the stuff up. She goes and finds who the president is sitting on their LinkedIn, and she tries to give him a call, no answer. Tries to give the school a call to directly get to the president, no answer. Finally gets a hold of the guy. I want to say she found some email and like a comment on one of the posts on his LinkedIn account. Finally emails him, says, hey, we have this bar, so and so. It says they're moving here to start a driving school for you. Can you please just verify their employment so that we can, you know, do what we need to do to close the loan? Guy goes, I've given this person no such permission. He was like, can I please see the letter? And she forwards it to him. She's like, that's not my signature. That's not what I said. This is no. He's like, they do not have permission. And I'll be calling her tomorrow to let her know that she no longer works for my company. And so the call we had to have with these people to say, hey, this is awkward. This is what happened, and this is what we did. What do you have to say? Was the most awkward conversation ever, because there was no actual like, I'm sorry that we did this and we tried to do it. It was all like, it is our right to buy a home. It is this, it is that. You guys better lawyer up. We're going to sue. Like, it was the weirdest. Like, I've never seen someone so like caught in something and just refuse to like
admit
it and not say anything. And they were throwing like the guilt trip, like they were like, we already bought movers, we already bought this, and I was like, hey, like, well, like, you lied.
Yeah, nothing you gave.
Like at the end of the day, like I'm sorry that you spent money on this. I'm sorry that but at the end of the day, like, you lied. Like, this is literally fraud. Like,
could you, if they had apologized to you, would you have been able to work with them? Was there any way to work with them?
I think we would have tried to find a way to make it work, but we definitely wouldn't have accepted an offer letter.
Yeah, no.
Like we wouldn't have, like, we probably would have had to report them just because that's what you have to do. You have to report suspicious activities. I'm pretty sure you did. Yeah. I wasn't high up in the company yet, but yeah, I mean, 95% positive. Because like I said, like, if that's one of those, we had to call all the realtors and tell them what happened.
Yeah.
And so now their paychecks, their earnest money, the sellers paying their mortgage, thinking that someone else is going to pay it next month. Like, all these things happening are going into play. And because we know they're not going to call and deliver that news, we get to call them and say, hey, so
and get the
Turns
1,000
out-
questions and angry fucking people and just
Yeah.
breathing down your shit.
Yep.
God,
man.
dude.
So
That was a fun day.
So what was the craziest amount of hoops that you had to jump through to get someone a home?
To get someone qualified. Oh, bro,
Yeah.
I had a VA guy. This is actually a crazy story. This is probably my favorite mortgage story because this is the one that made me like realize like, wow, I really love this job. Would you, Biggie? Hey,
Great name.
settle down, sir.
The Notorious.
Victorious.
Call Biggie your bean. So we had a VA loan guy. His guy's name was Carlos. He actually left us a review, so I'm going to use his name. He's fine. He's good to go. He was a veteran in the Navy, lost his hearing to some kind of, and I mean, I can see it. He was like an air boatswain's mate, lost his hearing to some kind of jet accident, had super bad tinnitus. His only income was, who's Dr. Silicon?
Talo.
It was me.
It's Dr. Piscillian.
Piscillian? It was Dr. Piscillian. No, I'm glad to see you're a doctor now and you're no longer running a driving school. So my man's had his only income was disability because he literally could not work. He literally was only getting his paycheck from from his VA disability once a month. He had no liabilities. I think he had one credit card, actually. I'm sorry. He had one credit card, but he had 2 kids. Now, how the VA works is there's something called residual income. Essentially what the VA likes to see is that, and it's kind of weird that none of the other guidelines do, but the VA likes to know that not only can you afford to pay your monthly bills and your housing payment, but that you have money left over to afford things like utilities, food, water, like, everything that comes with buying and owning a home. Like I said, super weird that other guidelines don't really care about that, but not here nor there. So when you have a certain amount of dependents, that goes into the calculation for your residual income. Well, I called Carlos and I found out that he does have 2 kids, but only one of his kids lives with him. So I was like, okay, that's something I'll definitely, keep in mind later on the road. Carlos goes on a contract for a new build. He pushes us. I don't know if you guys have worked with a new build, but new build lenders are notoriously good at making it seem like you can't go with anyone else. It's not the case. You can decide who your lender is up to literally the day of closing.
They make it seem like you have to decide right then and there.
Oh, right then and there. Yeah, they tie all these, closing cost incentives to it, but then they'll tie, hey, you close with us, you get $7K, but then all right, cool, I'm gonna charge them $3,500 in points and then another $1,600 in lender, my lender fees. So really you're getting about $1,200 in lender credit. Like they'll just do all these kind of things that they'll take advantage of somebody that's maybe not paying attention or maybe doesn't know their options. So he was pushing us and saying, hey, I want to go with you guys, but the builders offer me this. And it's a VA loan and it's a new build. So with the amount of credit he was getting, he had $800 for cash to close. And I'm not joking with you. It was literally $800. I actually think once he added the $1,000 of his earnest money, his earnest money deposit, he was going to get a portion of his earnest money back. So he was actually going to get $200 from buying a home because he put $1,000 in earnest money.
Jesus. Yeah,
man. VA loans are really sweet. But anyway, so we ended up losing them because we couldn't give them that much in credit. It didn't make sense for us as a company, but we were like, hey man, if anything happens and they're not able to qualify you, please come back. Let us know. We want to make it work for you. He calls me probably, I want to say it was 3 weeks after that. Because he hadn't yet applied with the builder's lender, and he says, hey man, and he was kind of tearing up, crying. He was like, dude, don't know what's happening. The builder's lender says they can't qualify me. You guys have me qualified. They're telling me if I can get a pre-approval underwritten letter from you guys in 3 days, we can make it happen. I was like, all right, man. Well, I appreciate you calling me back. I'm glad you do this. I know when we had you qualified earlier, there were some, there was things that are what they were. Has anything changed? And he's like, oh, I did open another credit card. I definitely put another one. Yes, bro. Yes.
I bought a Ferrari.
While we're talking, just so I can add it, do not if you're in the home buying process and you're serious about buying and you're like 30-day window clause, do not apply for any other credit.
Yeah.
Bro, I was freaking out about buying anything that was like more than $200. And people were like, no, you can go up to like 1,000. Like, fuck that. I'm not risking it. I've waited this long.
You got to be careful because even with, so like in your case, most people that is the case if you're doing 20% down, but if you're doing like 5, 10, and there's mortgage insurance carrying your loan, your mortgage insurance is tied to your debt to income ratio. So if you bump your credit card payment up $200, $300, your mortgage insurance can go from 0.31 to like they consider riskier, so now it's 0.51. So you could literally be adding on monthly payment because you decided you wanted to go to the Soho Lounge and spend $500 on.
I know I was very
nervous
about that. I was very nervous about that because we hadn't closed yet on my house, but I was very like eager to just start buying like furniture.
Yeah, you want to buy furniture. You want to buy.
So I called Marilla and I was like, "Yo, if I pull the trigger on this, like, am I gonna fuck myself?" She's like, "Just don't go stupid. Like, just like keep it to like 1,000 if you got to do it, but like, you'll be fine."
And I don't even like telling people this. Like, I feel like there's not that many people in this chat, so don't go post this on any like. So 3 days before you close, and this is 3 days before you close. If your closing date is in 3 days, they will repull. They won't repull your credit, but they'll basically go ask the bureaus. They'll say, "Hey," they'll refresh everything and make sure that things like that haven't changed. So if you really can't help buying something, then and for a fact you're closing tomorrow, then fine. But don't take that and go, all right, well, Chris said 3 days before closing. And then a long weekend comes up and your lender can't close. And so they push it to Monday. Now they're, let's see Nabil up there with his phone right now, texting everybody. They push it till Monday.
I'm not recording
because then you're screwed. It could literally screw somebody out of buying a home.
Yeah.
I had a guy call me 3 days before he closed because there was a jet ski special for Labor Day weekend. I was like, bro, please.
Bruh, like, come on now.
No.
I didn't realize impulse buying was that bad.
Oh, this guy, he was from New York too. So he moved down. He moved from New York to down here, and he realized how cheap everything was, but he was still getting paid the same. So he was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a house, buy a jet ski. I just got a new Tesla. This is the greatest place on earth."
Jess can relate because she's from Jersey.
All right, fuck off with that.
Big Jersey.
I'm literally from New York, but Nabil and Juan have gotten in it, and so that I'm from Jersey. Which, again, we love Jersey. No offense, but I am not from there. But I do understand things being cheaper. Cars are cheaper. Houses were cheaper.
Yeah, you can't drive a jet ski on the Hudson either. So
that's absolutely correct.
I mean, you can, but that'd be disgusting.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. So why am I forgetting? Carlos comes back and says, all right, well, if you guys can do this, that would be amazing. So I look at it with my team, right? And I look at running it each and every way. And we pull his credit on a Friday and we're trying to run it through the automated underwriting system. I'm just not getting approval. And I'm like, damn, I really don't want to call this guy and tell him we can't do it. I was like, let's sleep on it. We have 3 more days. Let's sleep on it. Come back on Monday. We'll try it again. Fast forward to Monday, try running again. Not approving. And I call Carlos. I'm like, hey, man, let's start to tell you about those are the worst calls ever of all time. Nothing can prepare you for like calling someone and telling them, 1, that they don't qualify for a home, but 2, like they were previously qualified, but now something that they may have did cause them to no longer qualify.
Yeah.
Because now they're feeling like, what did I, why did I do this? What could I have done different? That kind of thing. So just a very stressful, very not fun conversation.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey man, I'm really sorry. Like we looked at this, 8 times till Sunday, like trying to make this work. I just really apologize. And of course, he's upset, not at me, but just upset at how could this happen? Like I didn't realize that this would affect me so much. The builder's lender didn't tell me this. I'm like, hey man, I'm really sorry about all this. Anyway, the conversation put something on me was, it's saying it lightly. Like I was thinking about this all night. I got to work early on Tuesday because I couldn't sleep. Grabbed some coffee, and I was just like, let me try this one more time. So I repulled his credit because I noticed something in the credit report that didn't make sense based off of the notes. There's certain credit cards that say certain things. Sometimes they say it, sometimes they don't. But usually that means that someone just made a big purchase. So I was like, all right, well, maybe something's changed since this last reported, because he told me he paid it off. It's showing it's not paid off. So let's try this again. So I re-pulled it. And that note was no longer there. And I was like, all right, well, let's see if it works. I ran it, prove eligible, good to go. Before I called Carlos, I'm sitting here like, all right, let's pull everything up on both screens. Look at this, look at that. I take it to my manager, Cody. I say, hey, Cody, please look at this and that. He's like, the only thing changed was this language. Literally, the balances did not change. It was literally language on his credit report that was causing the system to not give an approval.
That shit's so finicky for no good damn reason. Like, I feel like that of the years of this being a thing that should be cleaned up by now.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the thing too, is the like I was talking about how the government controls the interest rate. The government also that Fannie Mae like controls how AUS runs. So what they do is they collect data over the last 10 years over who does pay their mortgage on time and who doesn't pay their mortgage on time. Yeah. So every year, from people that do and people that don't, or people that go bankrupt, it takes all this data analyzing, collecting, things like that. And it adds it into the system. So if it sees a pattern of, hey, these people that have high credit card utilization, these people that make, a 30-day late payment every, year and a half, they have a hard time paying their mortgage, it'll take that into account and it'll say, we don't believe that this person is actually going to pay their mortgage on time. Lower that purchase price to something that we think it'll be in a profile that someone that can pay their mortgage on time. But yeah, you're right. It's super finicky. That's why I always tell people, I'm like, man, if you're trying to buy something, do not apply for credit, because we want to make sure that this credit report does not change from now till then. So I call the sales guy first, the builder, and I tell him, hey, like, we got Carlos qualified. Please don't sell that home. And he was like, well, can you send me the letter? He's like, I was actually having people come out today. This builder was going to turn around and sell that home. Wow. Like once they couldn't qualify Carlos. Yeah,
there's no sense in him trying to dig any deeper. He didn't give a shit about Carlos.
Well, now they have a $70,000 investment, right? They probably listed that home for $300K, and in the market it jumped up to $350K now that it's valued. So they're like, oh crap, we're gonna go around and turn and sell this for more than the profit we were already gonna make. Yeah. But legally they can't until they, relinquish Carlos's hold on the property. So we saw it today. I was like, look, I can get this letter writing today. We get you a letter by tomorrow morning. Like, can you guys, promise me that? And I was like, yeah, we can do that. So got it pushed through, got it approved, good to go. Send a letter. Carlos is as happy as can be. It's great. It's awesome.
A happy ending.
Then the best part, my favorite part, because I start to do this now. Carlos ended up not putting a little on his credit, but the residual income factor came into effect. We forgot that Carlos, so once it came to underwriting, they're like, hey, make sure you redo your residual income calculator. The average amount of, I'm trying to remember what county it was. It's like, they basically do like hey, this county, your average utility bill is $125 or something around that line. And the residual income for his area went down. And so we go to run on the residual income calculator and we're like, it doesn't qualify anymore. And so I go talk to Carlos and I'm like, hey, you told me you have 2 children. Is that correct? He's like, yes, sir. And I was like, but you told me only one lives with you. And he's like, yeah. I was like, so you have 1 child? And he goes, no, sir, I have 2. I was like, Carlos, you have 1 child. He goes, no, man, that's not. No, I have 2 kids. Like, he comes and stays with me once a month. I was like, Carlos,
shut the fuck up, buddy.
You have 1 child. I'm going to send you a letter that says I have 1 child. And you are going to sign a letter that says, I have 1 child. And when the government comes to your door, no, we didn't all saw that. But we did, like, I've never had to coach somebody. And I've done that a lot where I'm like, hey, I'm not going to report this. This is how it works. If you don't think you can commit to that, then don't do it. I've never had
Yeah.
anybody like I've never had to push somebody so hard in that in that department as I had to do Carlos. Like I couldn't tell if he just didn't get it or if he didn't want to align. I was like, bro, I was like, I'm not telling you that you're not a bad you're a bad father and you don't think you're his. What I'm telling you is if you want this house, you have one child.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so Carlos signed the letter saying he made a mistake and he meant to put one dependent, not two.
That's awesome.
And Carlos is now a homeowner.
That's awesome. All
That's
right,
funny.
I'm gonna say something sad, but then I want to turn it to a quick positive.
No sad stuff.
Well, unfortunately, it happened. So R.I.P. Coolio. Coolio
What?
passed away. Yes.
Oh shit, Coolio
Wait,
passed?
what? Really?
The rapper Coolio.
Yeah. Which is crazy enough. A week ago, he performed at our event, our SADA event. So that sucks to hear. Yeah.
Wow, he was young, 59.
59. Yeah.
Wow.
So I do want to turn it
Sopranos reference 59. He was a fucking kid.
He was a So I do want to ask a question in regards to
What's
like
up?
the more positive aspects. Like
What's up, man?
you're like right there with people when they're gonna receive their happiest moments. What is that for you, man? Like, because
Awesome.
I got a verbal and I almost fucking cried. It was insane. It's an insane feeling. So for you, like, what's that like?
Dude, honestly, it's amazing, especially when it's someone that you know that you've worked hard with, right? Like I said, I don't call them the average people, but like that teacher that everyone told them they couldn't qualify. That guy that busts his ass working the construction job 90 hours a week, that you know, he has a wife who makes good money too, but her credit's not as good. Like those kind of people, that makes such a difference. And if without sharing too much, so whenever you actually close in your home, the day before we actually lost one of our founding members to a motorcycle accident. So it was like super somber in the office. And I remember you trying to work with, I think it was Chelsea and everybody.
Yeah.
And which, by the way, thank you so much for being like an angel and patience that time. There were some people that
totally
did not understand how much his name was Chris as well. Chris meant to the company. So when I called you, I was like, hey dude, like, you know, I was like, I'm so happy you bought your home. He's like, oh yeah, like, you know, I'm so sorry about you. Like it literally made my day because of the amount of somberness in that office. And when I got off the phone, I told everybody, hey, like, hey guys, like I know we're all going through it right now, but like Nabil wants to let us know, like, it was amazing. His realtor's happy. Like when I told them that, like the smiles came back because it was just a super most somber moment in the office. So long story short, I say that all to say, like, it is an amazing moment whenever you help someone get into a home that they either necessarily didn't think that they could do, or the process was so difficult in qualifying or working to find a realtor, working to find that home. In your instance, offering on 15 homes before you actually got an offer accepted. But no, man, that's all we do. It's amazing. It's like,
I think for me to say this, like, everything that everyone said about how long this process would take or how much of an uphill battle it is and how crazy it gets, it's all true. But what I think people fail to highlight is how seriously amazing it feels once you're accepted and you close and holy shit, it's my house now. Like it is so crazy. And like, it's an amazing feeling. And I mean, honestly, I'm glad I went with you guys. You guys were so fucking awesome and understanding and just like,
I answered
every stupid question I had, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And
no,
like,
dude, I think I told you. I was like, dude, no question is stupid.
He has a lot of
stuff. Differently.
Like, first question was like, "Hey, man, I know you're just like a lender, but where do babies come from? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is how does that work?"
Basic questions. You know,
I saw you put a kid on your Instagram. Is that your kid?
It's so funny you say that, to Bill. Like with like the house buying thing, I don't want to say I felt robbed of my moment, but I was so naive to everything that like my realtor called me and say, "Yo, you're approved and you're in." I'm like, "All right, so like, can I still lose the house? Like, do I still
just shell shocked?"
Like, there was a lot of shit prior to that like, oh, I thought we're good, and then we weren't, and then we're good. Oh no, we're not, and now I got to jump to another letter. So I went through all of this shit. So like, I kid you not, it wasn't until I got the keys in my hand where I was like,
That you were like,
I guess we're good now. Like, is there
Oh,
anything else that could possibly come up? And then there was like something else late that like they were waiting for something. What was it? It was like, I think my payment.
Was it a post-closing condition or something?
It was something like that. I think it was like the money I owed went through, but it didn't get to where it needed to get to yet. So they're like, yeah, we're still kind of waiting on it. I'm like, does this mean y'all, like, if you lose it, like, am I gonna lose this house still? Like, so I never loved it until like a week later. I was like, nobody's taking my shit. I'm like, for goodness sake.
If you want to know what happens in that situation, sometimes there's things that happen in post-funding where even though you as the buyer purchased the home and you're good to go, the lender itself might have screwed something up in the paperwork of the process. And so when they're trying to sell that mortgage to an investor and the investor does their review, which it's already been bought, paid, sold for, everything like that, they're like, hey, we see here, you didn't ask Juan for, you see his driver's license expired. Did you guys get that by chance? His driver's license expired. It's pandemic. He's probably gonna be fine. Yeah, so we're currently not purchasing mortgages with expired driver's licenses. So you can sell that to someone else. Like there's so many little finicky things that like investors, which that's why they're investors, right? They weigh their risks, they have their reasons. But yeah, it can be something as big as that to like the offer letter situation where I said, hey, they got an offer letter. They're scheduled to start at Amazon a week after they close. Cool. Our post-funding condition is that first paycheck better be on our desk where we see that they're at Amazon and they're doing this, or else we're not buying that mortgage. You would have been fine regardless, but I'm just telling you what happens on our end.
Yeah.
It's super stressful for us because we're like, no matter what, you have the home now. Like it's bad.
Yeah,
but
you're gonna fight me to get out of this.
Do you guys ride that wave of stress with us? Like, I'm just curious, like what it's like on your end.
Yeah,
like because when you guys emailed me, when you guys emailed me and you guys were like, "Hey man, everything's fine, but your company is saying they don't have a printer."
Bro, that was nuts.
What the fuck?
I was like, my boy Fredo, my partner was like, dude, doesn't he work on the IT stuff? I was like, yeah. I'm pretty sure. It's a fucking printer.
It was insane. And I was like, I remember just like emailing the front desk guy, and I was just like, listen, man, I will fucking print this for you. Like, send this to you. Like, just like go pick it up somewhere. Yeah. Like, I don't have time for this bullshit.
Bro, that was so nuts. And it was like a verification of employment. Like, yeah, we filled everything out, but we can't fax it over to you.
Or like they couldn't. Like, I was like, oh my god, dude, what
it was insane.
Shit?
I've never worked. There's some HR companies that are super hard to work with, and a lot of the times it's nurses for some reason. Like hospitals will like outsource their HR to like some kind of third party company. Yeah. Like obviously they have like a hiring HR, but they don't have like a payroll HR. Like it's like some third party like representative. And so trying to get anything from them is a huge pain in the ass because not only do they charge you, but they are. I feel like they are paid sometimes to be as slow as possible in their response.
Yeah, dude, that's a rip.
But yes, to answer your question, we do stress until I get an email that says Nabil Rabadi has funded. I am on the edge of my seat.
Yeah,
because appraisal stuff with the sellers, stuff with borrower. We had a borrower the other day that went under contract. He was under contract for 2 days, and I want to say something happened, and there was a sickness that happened in his family. Granted, he was buying an investment property, but he was like, "Hey, I got to pull out of this. Like, I have to pay for this. I don't have money to cover this purchase and be able to afford the next, what comes next with this accident." And it was like, "Hey, man, I totally get it." So, like I said, like once you go under contract, until we get an email that says Nabil Rabadi has funded, we are just as stressed as you are. Yeah. There's times where we're more confident that it'll happen, but shit happens, right? Like,
yeah. Like, yeah. Man. Guys, I think we did it.
We did it. We learned all about housing.
I feel now I can successfully go buy a house. I'm going to go do it.
You already bought a house.
Huh?
You bought a house.
Oh, shit.
You're in it. What? Like, you know what's crazy? It's fucking with me. You look like the loading screen in the Matrix right now, like where like nothing in the program is uploaded yet, and it's like,
it's Lawrence Fishburne in the background.
Have you ever seen
do you think that's air you're breathing?
That movie with Jim Carrey. It's like everything is fucking white.
Oh,
Is it Bruce
Truman
Almighty
Show?
or no?
No,
Oh,
Truman Show. Truman Show.
Truman Show.
Mighty too is like that, but the Truman Show.
Truman Show, yeah.
Truman Show's
Where it's actually
amazing.
a set. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. He came out with like 2 movies around the same period. The other one people don't really pay attention to. It's called The Majestic.
That's so
it's
good.
It's such a good movie.
Oh,
I don't know. I feel like it sounds so familiar.
It's really good if you've never seen it. It's like,
and Hugh Jackman in that one?
is he in it? I'll tell you what he is in.
He is.
Deadpool 3.
Deadpool 3.
Let's go.
I'm so stoked.
It
I
looks
know.
familiar, but I don't know if I've seen this.
Yeah,
It's,
if
really
you
good.
haven't, I would highly recommend watching
You
The Majestic.
would really like it.
Such a
It's
great
really
movie.
good.
it's romance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like 2 magicians that are like,
No. That's not the movie.
Is
wait,
it the
what am I thinking of then?
The Majestic is it's a movie with Jim Carrey.
I'm thinking of The Prestige. That's
I'm
what
thinking of The Prestige, but there was 2 that came. The Illusionist and The Prestige both came out at the same time.
Yep.
Anyway, The Majestic. Definitely check it out. It is a romantic movie coming of age.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
Basically, Jim Carrey is a screenwriter who like gets in a car accident, doesn't remember who he is, but in this town that he gets in a car accident is believes he's someone else, and so he just carries on life believing he's that person until one day his memory comes back, and it's a really good movie.
It's like Family Man.
Damn.
I like Family Man,
Dude, that's one of my favorite movies. It's one of my
Is it?
favorite movies.
What did you think of the movie Click? By the way, if you like Family Man, did you like Click?
Click? Yeah.
I liked Click.
Click was
Click
good.
was good. Both of the movies are really good.
Swings even more. Click was sad. Family Man is like has a happy ending, kind of.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I made Austin watch that. I think last year. I think so. And it was good. It's great. Great movie. Loved it.
Good movie.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. Well, we did it, guys.
Oh
We
my
did it.
gosh, your cat is killing me. I just love him. I never need a cat sitter for your girl.
Yeah, I got you. Mr. Bigglesworth, do you want to go?
Yeah.
What
You want
Funko
to-
Pop are you collecting by
Mr.
yourself?
Bigglesworth. Do you want to? I love. I'm like super not obsessed with Funkos, but like there's certain ones that I really like.
Mhm.
One of my prides is like a Bubba Wallace. I don't know if you guys know the NASCAR driver, Bubba
Yeah.
Wallace.
Your
He's got like
doppelganger?
yeah, basically Dr. Pepper suit.
That's
I
awesome.
got a Bevo one, a couple of Star Wars ones. I don't know, they're super cool. My daughter loves. I'm trying to teach her the value of not opening the box and like just
Yeah.
Yeah.
admiring
Never
it.
mind.
Just super,
Steve.
super hard. So I
Yeah,
was
you just gotta buy 2.
Exactly. She's like, well, like you can't. You see how the arms don't really move? Like it's not really like a toy.
I want to buy one and then I don't because I know once I start buying them, I'm gonna keep buying them because I have a collector's heart.
And I don't like look at like, oh, I need number 101. Like it's literally just like, yo, that one is like
Looks
dope as fuck.
dope.
Like I want it. Like there's
Yes.
a Spartan 313. It's underneath all the other ones. I'd show it to you, otherwise it's gonna like.
Like anytime
But
I see
like,
anytime I see an X-Men one, I'm like, I need it. I'm like, I need
Yeah,
these
exactly.
X-Men.
Yeah.
Like it's literally like impulse, and they're like $12. So it's literally like the
No, it's
impulse
nothing.
buy
It's
of all
great.
time.
Cheap.
It's just like, all right, cool. Like I want it.
So Chris,
Yeah.
as we end all our shows, man, what do you want to leave with people? What's your final pardoning words, my guy?
Well, my name is Chris. I work at LendFriend Home Loans. If you guys need my email and my phone number, it's there in the chat. I can post it again if you want me to. But I'd like to leave you with, hey man, like as I said earlier, even though the market is crazy right now, it's still the best time to buy a home. You may not be in an area like Richmond where I'm not sure who said they're in the Richmond area where it's cheaper to rent and buy right now. It might still be like that, but with the way that renting is rising in Austin, just from people moving here and them seeing a market and like, all right, well, we got people that can afford more now. Let's raise the rent so that we're still able to pay for everything. It's still going to make more sense for you to buy than it isn't. Now, it doesn't always make sense for everybody. Like I said, you have people, you don't want to be house poor, right? You don't want to not be able to afford the payment. But at the same time, if you can't rent either, I'd rather own the home and be able to control it somewhat than every year I got to worry about saving another $200, figuring out how I'm going to get another 25-cent raise, figuring out how I'm going to get this, figuring out how I'm going to get that, just to be able to live in an area.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, you guys feel free, shoot me a text, give me a call. You got my number, you got my email. I'm always available. If I'm not, it's usually because I'm with my daughter or I'm watching the Longhorns lose and the Eagles go undefeated. And so, yeah, man,
Both
I'm always here to help.
I love that. Jess, what's
Gross.
your parting words, my man?
I would say a couple different things. Chris is your guy for home buying, so don't forget him. Great, thank you, Chris, for being on with us.
Of course.
And love you guys. That's it. Simple,
Short, sweet, to the point.
short and sweet, baby.
Yeah, man. I just want to say thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, tell all your friends, all that good stuff. Chris, thank you for joining us, dude. It's always a pleasure talking to you, man. If you guys are in the market or looking for anything or have questions, please go to Chris. He is awesome.
He's the guy.
Anytime I see this dude, I always have a smile on my face just because he's such an awesome person. So thanks, dude. Thanks for coming on here, dude. It was honestly a fun conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Have an awesome rest of your week, everyone. Wani, what you got, buddy?
Chris, I started earlier and I'll say it again. I'm so glad we were able to get this done, buddy. Like you've one of my longer term friends, the longest actually of the group. We went way back, back to the Crudo days.
Hold it, hold.
Get an Xbox. Get online. Get online. Get back online.
Sounds like a hater. Sounds like somebody who got their ass beat by Crudo a lot in college.
I'll say this. I don't want to talk about my intramural, compromises, but Crudo couldn't stop shit when I was playing.
All I'm going to say, here's what I'm going to say. Someone went undefeated and someone went to nationals and someone did it 3 years in a row.
This is true.
Not saying that team, it was called Crudo, but they were. And that was my baby. So,
and someone has no idea what you're talking about.
So little story because we got a little.
Oh my God!
Nobody knows it all.
I'm so hungry. Get over with.
In college, we had an intramural franchise. Essentially, we had an intramural flag football team that started it, and we called it Crudo. Like Voodoo, our school was like the Crusaders. We had a chant called Crew, and like we just merged it together called Crudo.
I don't know if that works.
So there's a whole backstory to where the name came from. We did a Crudo chant at a volleyball game. The team won. So then we kept the saying going, and then we put it on a shirt and ruined everybody's lives because they fucking hated us. We were the most hated people, and it brought me so much joy because they just hated us because we were good. That was the only real reason that people hated us. We were recruiting people, so then we took the football team to soccer where we were great. We had a softball team, we were great. Like you name a sport, Crudo was there as the villains.
I think the reason people hated it is because they actually it was you forgot to tell the important part that it was co-ed. It was co-ed. And their girls actually knew how to play the sports.
So they could use the same background.
Like the other teams would be like, hey, like you watch football in like sometimes a couple of days, like you know how to play kind of, like, do you want to come play? Like, yeah.
See,
and they'd be throwing the ball like this.
Yeah,
like, they had a girl playing quarterback. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Everybody was out here trying to recruit like their female friends that they just knew.
Yeah.
Where I was going out recruiting ex-athletes.
Runs,
exactly. Either you played softball
games, high school basketball games. Like, all right, Belton, huh? She'll be in college next year. Hey.
If you ran out of eligibility and you could no longer play D3 football or any form of a sport, then I was like, I got a spot for you on the team. You want to keep it going? And that's literally how we would find other teams who had a good player. Like they might have had a good girl, like Cammy Lilly was on a terrible team. I watched her like get furious at her team because nobody gave a shit. She's just out there like busting her ass. So I literally went to her after the game. It's like, if you want to win, come play for us next season.
So you scouted somebody?
Oh, I was at every game. I scouted everybody. My second year team was our base team and then made up of everyone else who was just good on a bad team. And we just brought them over. So then everyone hated us because we kept stealing all their friends. It was great.
You bet.
It was great.
He's not telling you, he was also head coach of another flag football team.
Yeah, but I don't want to put that on my record. So here's why I don't want to put them on record, Chris. And you've seen Crudo in their action. I couldn't get these people to do one practice, not one time.
We're talking about practice.
Talking about practice, like
together.
I had that much thing.
But we did win.
They won.
We did.
But they didn't have
And honestly, athletic teams just had no idea what we were doing.
but they didn't win the right way.
They didn't win the way I would. Not they didn't play my ball.
You know what? You know what?
Thomas
He
Brandon
was
football.
still winning.
That's true.
And under his belt, you know. But it was legit. He created like.
He knows the wristbands.
And
I remember that shit. That was so stupid.
And we would like run with it, and we still kind of sucked. I wasn't. It was just us.
It was.
Bro, shit was so demeaning sometimes. Like I'd be like, they're like, all right, we're just gonna double cover him because nobody else catch pass. They straight up would just double cover me, and everybody else on my team would just be fumbling the bag the whole time. I'm like, bro, like,
we were
I didn't
complete
go to
assholes.
college for this. I didn't go to college for this. Like, I came here to meet people. I came here to have fun. I didn't come here, you know, like I didn't ask for this.
We actually had somebody tell us that. They're like, guys, you know, this is just like a fun thing. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I don't have fun losing. Was literally our response. I don't have fun losing.
I think that was my friend Jason.
Yeah.
I think that was Jason. I think Jason said that. Like he was totally joking, like he was trying to be an asshole, but you made him look like even stupider than he already was. Like, he's like, hey guys, you know, this is for fun, and like laughing, and you're like, yeah, we think winning's for fun. He was like,
we're having tons of fun. You should also have fun. I'm sorry.
Damn, that really backfired.
Oh man, but Chris, again, bro, thanks for doing this. This was a long time coming. Everybody who's stuck in here to watch, thank y'all so much. Again, the show would be absolutely nothing without our fan base. Those who stick with us through all of the bullshit. I mean, you know, half the time our show, we don't have a direction. We have a general idea, but we wing a lot of this shit. And y'all keep coming back, man. So it means a lot. Like I like to end this season show when the Beal doesn't ruin it for me. You know, do something nice for somebody, man. Just find some rando, try it out. If everybody just like does one little thing to give a shit about somebody else, see how things change. Until we meet again. That's Nabil Rabadi. That's Jess Lerner. That's my boy Chris Wise. I'm Juan T.